That's real quick, and then we'll get in. We'll get into the game. Let me switch my camera around. My chickens don't seem to be. Oh, there's one. There's one right there. Look at the chicken, buddy. Plop, plop, plop. Good stuff. Yeah, and then let's play a little bit of background tunes, and then we'll get started with the patch notes. Alright, background tunes, a little loud. Alright, that's fine. Oh, we'll leave chicken cam on for a smidge. Oops. Alright, here we go. Let's change this to some PC screen. Hopefully you all can see it. I'm sure if you have it on a tiny screen, it'll be a little bit harder to see, but on a larger screen. But in the end of the day, I'm going to read them all out anyway. So, also, let's move that down there where it was before. Alright. So, again, this is all in the PTR. It is not live yet. So, we're just going to go through it real quick. And then we're going to take, maybe we go into the PTR and we take a look. I should probably have that updated, but whatever. What's up, Scoops? You wanna come in and look at PTR stuff with me? Nah, wait, you got work. You got work. It's okay. Yeah. I remember. I'm only slightly dumb. Haha. But yeah, we're gonna go through a PTR notes and then get my take on it real fast. And then I don't know whether we'll go into the PTR and test out some of this stuff, or we'll just go and do general Storm League, but who knows. So the search updates, starting with search updates, have been expanded. So now they've added things like double soak, sustain, escape. So now if you ask somebody, hey, can you play a double soaker? And then they type in double soak, it'll show up. Or if they're like, well, we don't have any kind of like a CC, so we needed to CC, boom. Throw in the CC. So that's cool. I hope that we get to find some fun and weird ones that'll be interesting, to say the least. And then top rework. Number 1 rework, Anduin. They're changing up Butte's favorite boy and Scoops' favorite man. And they're making him more, from the tiny clips that I've read, they're making him a little bit more aggro. Of course, there's got to be a fly in my office while I'm doing this shit. So his basic attacks now, he has attack speed increased by 20%, just baseline. His flash heal now has an extra second of cooldown, so from 4 to 5. Divine Star goes from 9 to 10, so another second tacked onto another healing trait. But Leap of Faith, new functionality. He essentially got a level 1 talent base, which is basic attacks against enemy heroes, heal the lowest ally near Anduin for 44. So this was a talent that was level 1, and it what it did was any damage that you did to an opponent gave healing. It wasn't just basic attacks, but now they've locked it to basic attacks, and it now does 44, which is a nice chunk of change at level 1. Note on the actual PTR, it heals for 26. Okay, so heals for half, so not as OP as originally thought. I was ready for blast healing at 4, so or is it 4 or 6? I don't remember what it was, but oh yeah, 4. But okay, it heals for 26, which is a lot more manageable in my opinion. But 44, I mean 44 would be nice. They might fix it. But yeah, but now it's locked to basic attacks instead of any damage dealt, which is gonna be, I think it's gonna be hard for people to realize that they are in danger if they are basic attacking, but you know, whatever. Level 1 talents have all been reworked or moved. So level 1 even-handed blessings. So the way that works is you give a heal. Varian's Legacy got way... Oh, absolutely. Nobody's gonna pick that now. Why would you pick that? That was the only reason to pick Varian's Legacy, was the tick would heal the nearest ally to you. But, you know, my guessing is that they'll change that talent and make it not basic attacks, but any attacks. Or that there'll be a talent that changes it from basic attacks to any damage. Or they change Varian's Legacy itself to make it so that your Pursued by Grace procs on any damage. Like, then you pick that for the duo. But even-handing blessings moved from 16. Healing bonus reduced from 20 to 10%. So now you can heal up a second ally, have the cooldown reduced by 40 instead of 50%, but your bonus healing on that new target is only 10%. Not sure I would pick that. But, well, healing bonus is from 20% to 10%. So it doesn't do 10%. Oh, 10% off base. Yes, 10% off base. But I see why you would pick that now with the flash healing cooldown being increased to 5 seconds. So now it knocks 2 seconds off your cooldown. So instead of being a 5 seconds, it's a 3-second cooldown for your Q, which is a sizable chunk of change. Power word shield moved from 7. It now allies in the path as it goes out now gain a shield, and then when it gets back to you, you still gain that shield, it seems, over 4 seconds. So now you shield teammates, which is kind of interesting. But then you get Lightwell. Moved from 16. You can place it, and it heals for 15 ticks of 50 damage, or 50 healing. So in total, at level 1, that is 750 health over the course of 15 ticks, which I think it's 1 tick per second. So you throw in the top lane, then you don't have to worry about it for 15 seconds. It's not bad. It's going to be strange at level 1. I'm going to expect a lot of people to put that in the solo lane. Just throw it in the solo lane and then leave. Then they have some kind of thing that they can go to for a little bit of healing. Then they have more sustain. Let's see. Moral Compass. This is the one I normally take. No longer has a maximum number of targets because it used to have 2. Now basic attacks increase from 70 to 100%. And my basic attack range is from 1 to 1 by 1. Or adds 1 plus or 1.1 to basic attack range. So this is really cool because now it adds to the Pursuit of Grace. Every hero around you gets hit for 26. If you hit everybody with a W, that's 26 times 5. That's a lot of healing for just 1 Q. And when the Q comes back, you get all that healing too. So it's going to be crazy amounts of burst heal, I think. Surge of Light, which is, I feel like that's a talent from a different hero. Could be wrong, Cassia. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Chastise by 0.75 of a second. And basic attacks against heroes rooted by Chastise cause an additional basic attack. So you can now have cooldown on your root. Actual PTR is a half second. Does the PTR not follow this? Strange. Okay, let's say if that is a half second, right? Your root's on I think it's on an 8-second cooldown. So 8-second cooldown. If it's by half second, 2 auto attacks. Well, your attack speed is increased, so I don't know exactly what his auto attack speed is. But root is 10-second. I thought it was 8. Okay, 10-second cooldown. You're only reducing it probably by 2 seconds max, just because you're trying to stay safe. Not sure I would do that one, but I know that it synergizes with a talent later on. Chastise hit, and then Piercing Light. Chastise hits 2 targets, and if you hit 2 targets, you increase your spell power by 1 to a maximum of 10. So 10 seconds. Sorry, not 10 seconds. So you can now root 2 targets, which is really good. And you get increased spell power, and there's no drawback. There's no drawback to that talent at all. Maybe you're giving up, you're giving up the basic attack range. But I think that is going to be... That's going to be the talent that people are going to want to go for. And I think I would switch to that talent. Depending on how I feel about the Moral Compass and how it affects me. Because Moral Compass is the one I went before, and it just got better in every way. So yeah. But I think that getting that 10% spell power will just outweigh. But you do have to hit 2 people in a single Chastise, so you have to have people grouped up. And Chastise is really slow. So, I don't know. I have to see. Desperate Prayer moved from 20. They moved the level 20 talent to 7. They increased the cooldown from 30 to 40 seconds. And they lowered the healing amount. But you're still rooted in place. You're still rooted in place for frickin' 2 seconds. So, don't pick that talent. You probably don't want to be rooted for 2 seconds. Probably not worth it. Especially for not that much healing. Level 13, so 10s were not changed at all. Level 13s. Push Forward, which is the trait that I normally picked, which increases your movement speed. Damaging an enemy hero increases your movement speed by 2.5%, and the amount healed by Pursuit of Grace by 5% for 6 seconds. So now the speed... Wait, hold up. So now it's not tied. Now your speed is not tied to your W. No. Push Forward has to be... What was Push Forward? I thought Push Forward was the Divine Star gave you 30% movement speed, and when it gave you cooldown. But this seems like a different talent. But getting the 5% heal, that's speed. Okay. I thought so. Yeah. Okay. I think I would still go with that one because it just gives you speed. So let's see, 2.5 up by 6. So 2.5 by 6 is 12. 3, 15. 15% speed. But also gives you the Pursuit by Grace. So this is a following talent. You're going to want to auto attack, move forward, and keep stacking. Oh, it stacks by 8 times. Not 6 times. 8 times. 8 times. So that's 40% increased on Pursued by Grace. And 20% movement speed. And this is just by auto-attacking or damaging at all. So your Q can get you 4 stacks immediately. Or sorry, not Q. Your W can get you 4 stacks immediately. Your Chastise can get you stacks. So that's crazy. Renew moved from level 1 to 16. You know what? 13? That might be the go-to talent. Especially if you go Moral Compass at 4, I think. Because then you auto-attack everything in range. You instantly get all the crazy stacks. So that might be the talent to go. And it increases your healing, essentially your auto-attack healing by 40%. Renew. New functionality. Flash Heal heals for an additional 130 over 5 seconds, which is what it did before. It obviously wasn't that much, but it did heal over time. The heal duration is now refreshed every time Anduin hits an enemy hero with a basic attack. So now, at 13... Sorry, wait, hold up. At 4, you get Moral Compass. You're now, what's it called? Your Apex, your Divine Star does auto attacks. Boom, you auto attack. Level 13, you get movement speed and Pursued by Grace by 5%. Boom. Then Renew gets refreshed every time you auto attack. So your W does an auto attack, you just basic auto attack, and you have the extra range, and now heals for 130 over 5 seconds. So this is what you do. You heal your offlaner. You send a Divine Star out at the guy in the solo lane. Sorry, you heal your solo lane. You send a Divine Star out. You leave as the Divine Star's coming back. You try and make it to mid. Then you auto attack the hero in the mid lane, and you just now have unlimited heals on your teammate, as long as they let you to keep attacking over 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds, as long as you poke them once. That's wild. That's really cool. Now that if you hit the enemy hero with the very tip of your Divine Star, or not Divine Star, with the very tip of your yeah, it is Divine Star. If you hit the enemy hero within the very tip of your Divine Star, you could probably make it to another lane. If you are on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you are 1 billion% making it to the next lane, right? And then, you probably wouldn't be able to do it on, like, Cursed Hollow. Unless you could do this. You could have the solo laner come to you. You heal them real quick. This is 16, by the way, so this is late game. You heal them real quick. There's a guy in your lane, or you're having a team fight or whatever, and you just keep autoing, and he goes to his lane. So now, he has unlimited healing in his lane. Again, it is 130 over 5 seconds, which is not that much, but it scales by 4%, you know. So 4% to 16. It'll probably end up being 1,000 or 1,100 over 5 seconds, but that's still really good. Then Malph's Q? Renew? 130 is more than Malph's Q? No. That can't be. Malph only heals for 150 over 20 seconds to start with? Or are we talking about just heal over the 5-second interval? Because I'm pretty sure Malph Q at level 1 is like 375. But it's over the course of 20 seconds, right? So I don't know. I can check it. I'll check it in-game when we go in to do Storm League. Okay, health per second. Yeah. That makes sense. Holy Nova, which is when you catch a Divine Star, it explodes, dealing damage around you. I don't pick that talent. It's not. It competes with the blue one, the blue Q talent that resets your Q. And then the double pull has now been moved from 20 to 16. So now it's 16, you have double saves, which competes again with Renew and competes again with the double Q. I'm not sure what I would pick at 16. I'm not sure. They're all good talents except for Holy Nova, in my opinion. Again, this is all obviously my opinion, and you're the only one watching Scoops anyway. So that's. I mean, according to Butte, you take double pull every time. I don't know if I would take double pull every time now that it shares its stuff with things. But I think I'm definitely going to be taking Renew. Especially if I can get a Renew, if I can get a Q on like 4 people. Let's just say, at level 1 you take Even-Handed Blessing. Though I still think I would take Lightwell. But yeah, no, I gotcha. If you take Even-Handed Blessing at 1, 3 seconds, every 3 seconds you can get another Q off on a separate individual. Then you auto attack and you throw your W out and it has the auto attacks at the end. You could just have healing on every single person. Yeah, Renew really makes you a better Melf. Like a lot better. That's weird. And then at level 20 you have Inner Light, which is brand new because they did not originally have a Light Bomb talent and upgrade the Light Bomb because they said Light Bomb is already too strong when he came out. They're like, we don't need to have an upgrade for him, just like they did with Laser Beam, where they didn't give you an upgrade to Laser Beam. Targets of Light Bomb gain 40% movement speed. You running in real fast, and 50 armor for 3 seconds. 50. Johanna's running in so fast with a Condemn, you have no idea. Holy shit. I just realized, does movement speed talents buff Johanna while in flight? Because then imagine having 40% movement speed while you're flying through the air in the falling sword. Science. Put that in your science belt right there. I am so down to test this anytime. And then Sensor. Chastise stuns for 0.75 of a second longer. Oh, no, it stuns. Pure stun. And its root duration is increased by 0.5 seconds. So its root was already 0.75, right? So now it's 1.25. And it stuns. I wonder if it stuns. Are they stunned and rooted, or are they stunned and then rooted? It depends. If it's a stun and then root, then it's really, really, really good. It's like really, really crazy good. If it's a stun root at the same time, you lose value. I really hope it's the stun and then the root afterward. And I'm really glad that they didn't add a silence to it, because that would be just real stupid. But that's pretty good. Wasn't there a talent that makes his auto attacks double? Oh, Surge of Light. Yeah. Basic attacks reduce cooldown by 0.75 seconds. I think you said it was 0.5. Basic attacks against heroes rooted launch an additional basic attack. Yeah. I just hope that they don't overlap, because what's the point in a root if they're stunned for the entire duration of the root? So I really hope that they just... Yeah, I really hope that they don't overlap. And then developer comments. Anduin has a wealth of effective talents, but most of them were stuck in the later tiers. We'd like to shake that up and let him have some more fun earlier in the game. They definitely gave him some fun. They made him way more aggressive, and healing value is given through your autos, it seems like now. So that's kind of dope. I like this. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to play. I think he's going to be really interesting. I think that people who are new to Anduin are going to get caught out a lot trying to weave in their auto attacks. But people like Scoops and I and Butte and... Was it Evil that plays healer? I think that we're going to be A-okay, and I think we're going to get more value out of him with this new upgraded stuff than we will before. The only thing I'm scared about is that 4 to 5 second cooldown for flash heal. I am just scared that that's gonna hurt by adding 20% longer cooldown times, but you know, we'll see. His auto should just buff that. Yeah, you're used to 6 freaking seconds. I know. You've been doing 6-second cooldowns for freaking ever. And I still don't understand. You said you've done the math, but I just don't get it. But it's okay. It's gone now. It's gone. Your 6-second cooldown days are over. There's no way that they'll have a 6-second cooldown on a Q anymore. Though you could pick Desperate Prayer if you really want some long-ass cooldowns of you being rooted for 2 seconds. Go for it. Okay. Now, Johanna also got a rework. Same thing. But this is where the new... Yep, you don't need to tell me that anymore. Because I didn't pick it anyway. Except in ARAM, baby. Alright, so Johanna now has the new lone quests. The lone talents. So they got rid of Reinforce, which gave you 60% basic attack armor, or physical armor, for 2.5 seconds every time you did an ability. They moved Zealous Glare to 1 from 7, which every time you auto attack a target that it has a blind on it, it adds a second to the blind for up to 3 seconds. And then they gave it a second charge, so now she's got 2 charges of blind at level 1. Laws of Hope has been changed. It now heals you 20% over 5 seconds, which it did before, but there's a quest associated with it with 5% extra every 10 globes you get. So at the end of a game, you should get like 20, 25 globes, maybe 30 globes, depending on how long the thing goes. If you get 30 globes, it's an extra 15%, so now you're healing for 35% over 5 seconds, which is a pretty large number. Still really big. And then the new talent. Alexstrasza, if you went Alexstrasza, how, by the way, is Alexstrasza not in this update? Like, they really need to, like, how was that not the hero they wanted to rework? But, I digress. If you go Infinite Globe Quest, what if, here we go, Scoops. What if you get so many globes that your Laws of Hope heals you for like 75% of your health. You'd have to get 100 globes, but I've seen Stitches with like 75, 85 globes. So let's say if you get 85 globes, that's an extra 40%. That gives you 60% healing. You hit a button and 60% of your health gets healed over 5 seconds. That's better than a fountain. And then the other part of that loan is, and then for the loan talent, instantly gain 20% maximum health. Every death reduces this bonus by 5. Every death. So if you want to be Aggresso, you just keep losing 5 deaths. 4 deaths, you get nothing. But then basic attacks increase your basic attacks and enemy heroes increase your physical armor by 8 for 2.5 seconds, which is why they removed reinforce, because that's what it did. Stacking up to 40. So you just have to be, I mean, basic attacking is not that bad for 2.5 seconds, but that just means that the range is gonna, if they have spells, you get nothing out of that. I don't know. I would pick this, but I would have to know that I'm being taken care of by my team. I'm not the best Joe on planet Earth, so. Level 4, Subdue. Teaser on Reddit said it'd be 15 per attack up to 60. Well, they halved that. 15 would be what? 15? That's a talent you pick every time. 2 auto attacks get you 30%. Just 2. And you're always going to get 2 because you auto attack once, then you condemn, and then you auto attack again. Subdue moved to level 7, which was the quest, or which is the quest. So now you can get your slow quest earlier, finished earlier. But Hold Your Ground has been moved to 4 now, which means that if you want more shielding and shielding more often, you have to so now you can pick Laws of Hope and shielding. Okay, I did not notice that earlier. And then Eternal Retaliation. Enemies hit by Condemn marks them for 10 seconds. Johanna's next basic attack removes the mark, lowering the cooldown of Condemn by 1. And refunding 10 mana and killing minions. And killing minions? What does that mean? Johanna's next basic attack removes the mark and lowering cooldown by 1 second. Right. Makes sense. Refunding 10 mana. Totally. And killing minions. Does that mean that every enemy that has the mark on it dies? Yes. Okay. I think that you're right. I think that if a target is marked and it is a minion, you kill it instantly, which adds to your wave clear, which is kind of nice. You can probably get 4 auto attacks. No, you should be able to get like 6 auto attacks off in the 10 seconds at the very least. That's cool. I think that they changed the functionality of the talent I normally pick, which is again Eternal Retaliation, which your Q, the cooldown of the cooldown of Condemn can be cooled down to 2 seconds. Yeah. Zealous Glare. Yeah, did they just get rid of... No. So now you have both. Yeah, Sins Exposed. Sins Exposed is the level 7. But Sins Exposed has been changed. Yeah, so everybody went Sins Exposed. They didn't go Eternal Retaliation. They went the other one. Yeah, no. Sins Exposed is 7. It went with Subdue. Sins Exposed at level 7. New functionality. Heroes hit by Punish. Heroes hit by Punish receive 25% less healing for 2 seconds. Basic attacks refresh the duration. So now, if you pick Subdue at 4, and you hit 2 people, and then they're slowed for 2 seconds, you can keep auto-attacking, and they... Okay. Moved. All right. I don't know how I feel about that. Why do tanks need? I mean, 25% healing is. It depends on who's the healer, right? 25% on against a Lucio would null him. 25% against the Lily would not. I feel. I don't know if I would pick that talent. Conviction. Move from level 4. Bonus movement speed while Condemn is charging. Reduced from 25 to 20. However, gain 10 movement speed period. Across the line. So now you're faster. Joe's faster now. By 10%. That's really good. And now if you're charging up Condemn, you're 30% faster. Just you whiz through things. Crazy. Rocket Joe. Steed a Charge, which is the new talent at level 7. Increase Iron Skin duration by 1, which is what you used to be able to pick later on. It would increase your Iron Skin by 2 seconds. But activate to instantly become mounted for 3 seconds. And damage dealt to Johanna during this time does not dismount her. So she's just mounted. She has 30% movement speed. Poof, right off the bat. For 3 seconds. That's kind of crazy. And I know that this is based on the Diablo 3 Crusader. Yes. My guess is that it is... Nope, it says D. My guess is you have to be in Iron Skin and reactivate Iron Skin for you to get the mount. Nope, I was on the PTR. So it is a separate button. Is it 1? Or whatever key is. Okay, it's 1. And you do not need to be, so essentially, can you be stunned while on the mount? Do you essentially get another Iron Skin? Because if you can't be dismounted, can you be stunned? Can you be silenced? Can you be slowed? You can be stunned and it can dismount you. Can you be rooted? Will that dismount you? Yeah. Well, I guess it did. I knew it didn't give you shields, but it doesn't give you unstoppable. So you can still be rooted, silenced, slowed. Slowed while on mount, but you can't be dismounted. Weird. Okay. That's kind of crazy, though. And then here's where things get really interesting for me. Again, we can do all that. Um... Hold on 1 second. If you... Holy shit. Ah. My friend is possibly getting a PS5. Oh, wait. I'm not clicking on it. He's in queue to get a PS5 right now. Hold up. Sorry, this is not what we are here for. Don't. Hold on 1 second. Okay, well, I can't find it. Alright, I'm not gonna worry about it. If I get a PS5, that'll be freaking dope. If I don't, whatever. That means I didn't lose anything. Okay. But here's where things get really interesting for me. Falling Sword. Damage is decreased from 210 to 150. Enemies hit are no longer slowed. Cast range decreased. Additional functionality. While in the air, allies beneath Johanna gain unstoppable. What? This will be super cool for dive teams. Let's say Greymane goes in, boom, he's unstoppable. Which means he can't be blinded. And then obviously as soon as she falls, right, they're knocked up and everything like that. But like, that's freaking awesome. What a cool change to that talent. And the level 20 gets better from what I read. Level 16, Fanaticism, they got rid of it, gone. Imposing Presence, also got rid of it. I really like that talent. That's the one I picked most of the time. If they had any auto attacker. Enemies, Shrinking Vacuum. Enemies hit by Condemn have their damage reduced by 25 and are slowed by 25% for 2 seconds. If you can hit a whole team with a Condemn, or at least 3 people with a Condemn, and having their damage reduced by 25 is pretty good. Pretty good. Holy Renewal, the other talent. Let's see. New functionality. Heroes hit by shield glare heal for 5% of your maximum health, and is reduced cooldown by 1.5 seconds. So now instead of I think it's on a 7-second cooldown, it is on a 5.5-second cooldown. I think. I'm not sure. Blessed Momentum move from 7. Your auto attack or your basic attacks grant 10% attack speed for 4 seconds up to 40%. and lowers the cooldown for basic abilities by 5. So this would go really well with the 25% 25% reduced healing and the level. Did I miss level 13? I feel like I missed level 13. We'll go back because I'm at 16. Moved. Let's see. That's pretty cool though. And then level 13, the one that we went back. The hammers have now been reduced in damage. Adjusted functionality: damaging enemies with basic abilities reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds. Every third basic attack against an enemy hero releases a hammer. Oh, so now you can get it regularly. And if you're hitting somebody in the front line, you could hit somebody with a hammer in the back line and stop them from capping something, or that's interesting. I like that. I didn't like Blessed Hammer before, so this makes it more enticing for me. Heaven's Fury, the level 20 upgrade to Falling Sword. Cooldown reduction per bolt now is from 3 to 2, so now you can only get it back every 30 or 25, 30 seconds if you hit everybody. But Holy Bolts now also hit allies, healing them for 75. So now if you have a dive comp, you dive with it, they're unstoppable, and they're getting healed? Come on. It would also be interesting. So now, did they reduce it from 3 to 2 seconds because now if it hits an ally, does Holy Bolts, if it hits allies, does it also give you cooldown reduction? Because if, let's say, you hit everybody, they're all in the tiniest clump, and you hit everybody, huh? What would you be at? You'd hit 9 people at minimum, if there's no like Cho'Gall or whatever. If you hit 9 people, my guess is you could get it down to 10. 10 seconds. I bet you could have it up in 10 seconds if you hit your allies too. But normally my guess is you'll have it back up within 20, 25. It doesn't say allied. It doesn't say enemy or allied. So that's interesting. And then the developer comment. It's been a while since we really dove deep into Johanna's talent tree and her upcoming cosplay skin, which means she's getting a skin. I should probably just go into the freaking PTR and take a look at stuff. Skin give us a good chance to do that. On top of that, we are experimenting with a new lone style talent type and would love to hear you guys' feedback. Great. Interesting. Mr. Jamie Raynor. Now you get Siri. No, you never used to get CDR from it did no so cooldown reduction per holy impact. It's just a cooldown reduction what that was changed, not the way that the talent worked. But see, it didn't used to hit enemy or heroes, so I think it'll only do on. That would be really broken if it was by minions. But it doesn't say heroes, you're right. It says hit allies. I wonder if you could also heal, like, the Protector. Or the Punisher with that. I don't know. It doesn't say heroes specifically. Jimmy Raynor. Jimmy Raynor. Adding it to the science list. Oops. That's not where I wanted to go. Jimmy Raynor. Basic attacks reduced from 101 to 92. He was already really strong in the auto attack talents. Penetrating round reduced from 10 to 9 seconds. That's cool. Mana cost reduced also, but who runs out of mana on Raynor? And the damage has been reduced also by 30 points. Almost 15%. Actually, it's around 15%. That's large for reduction, but you also get it back more often. Ace in the Hole, new functionality. Given Pepper slows enemies by 10%. Again, it did the same thing. Penetrating Round now deals 25% damage to enemies that are slowed or stunned. So now, you hit a Pepper, and then boom, you hit him with a Q. And that's where you get your damage back from Penetrating Round that was in it before. Exterminator, new functionality. Basic attacks against minions and monsters and mercenaries deal 50% more. That's a nerf. To Ace in the Hole? Or is that a nerf to Penetrating Round? Because technically Ace in the Hole is not changed. It's just... I guess it's buffed. Because now... It's buffed, I guess. Nope, it's nerfed. You don't do more damage. You don't do no more basic attack damage. You're right. Now it's just Q. You're right. That's a nerf. I guess they really want you to burst with your Q. Weird. This increases... Oh, sorry, Exterminator. Increase basic attack against minions, mercenaries, blah, 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 by 50%. Here's the cool part. This increases to 125 when Inspire is active. Passive. Inspire does not expire on friendly minions and mercenaries. So now, you go and you grab the camp in the top lane. Objective is bottom lane. Before you leave, you hit an Inspire on camp. Whether it's the Shaman, or it's the Gnolls, or whatever. And then you leave. And then you go down to the bottom lane. And your camp now gets way, way more value. 50% more value than you got before. Also, having it not expire on waves, you clear waves really quickly. Because your wave clears the wave. And you don't have to worry about it. You can also, now, if you wanted to be really cheeky at the very, very beginning of the game, you wait for your minion wave to come in the bottom or top lane, right? Because everybody's going to fight mid. And you hit your Inspire on top or bottom wave. And then you go to mid with the rest of the team, and your wave dominates that wave. That's awesome. I'm praying for you. Jimmy Laner's back. I mean, all he has to do is just hit an Inspire move. Hit an Inspire move. Especially with the weird XP globe changes that are happening. Yeah, minions do tons of damage to structures. Imagine, by the way, you have a huge... Yeah. And then imagine you have a huge minion wave going bottom. Oh my god. Imagine you have a minion waves on not Infernal Shrines, the other one. 2-lane map with the Immortals. You have a huge minion wave bottom while the Immortal's going. You buff the attack speed. You leave it because everybody's going to go freaking fight for the Immortal. What? It just takes down a building on its own? Like, fuck. Wild. That's going to be a wild talent to take. I will probably take that talent on the regular. And then Veteran Marksman, which has now been changed. And, supposedly is the new AO team. Oh, wait. Is Shane here? Shane?
This is Shane reporting for duty.
YOLO swag. I'm just doing a discussion about the new changes in Heroes. I'm going over the patch notes.
Yeah, I looked at them a little bit too much, maybe, but I like patch notes. So,
Yeah, well, I'm going over them for the stream for Scoops. Me and Scoops are going over them.
well, if you want my thoughts on anything, I'm more than welcome to
Okay.
throw some stuff out there.
So we talked about what do you think about Anduin to start with?
Hang on, sorry. Let me pull up the patch notes first.
Yeah. So we're walking through everything, and we're currently on Raynor, but I want to get your opinions on Anduin and Joe before I continue.
I'm gonna pull up Anduin just because I don't 100% remember. I think Anduin is a lot better than what he was before. I think that to get the maximum value out of him, you need to play him aggressively.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, he's in a way better spot than he used to be. Like, I think even-handed blessings at level 1 is actually insane. Like, I thought that talent was actually solid at 16, and I know they nerfed it a little bit since it's now a level 1 talent,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think it's insane as a level 1 talent. And just in general, right? Like, for the most part, like, his changes are really solid. Like, I like his new level 4s. I think there's some solid stuff in there.
Have you? Go ahead.
I looked at his level 20s. Honestly, I think that the new E was interesting, but I don't know if you take it all the time. Like, or I don't know if you take it. Like, I honestly don't think the upgraded light bomb is that bad because, like, you could basically either. So now it's super flexible, right? You could use it as a super engage tool because you give the target a ton of move speed, or the big armor buff is good for, like, if somebody's getting focused in a team fight, you can just press light bomb on them, and now all of a sudden that target is insanely hard to kill. So,
I really like that the new 20 for light bomb. I like it for like Greymane, right? Greymane doesn't have to worry about like essentially getting blown up as soon as he dives in. He dives in, instantly stuns everybody, and he now has 40% movement speed to get to the back line if he needs to. Like,
well, so I don't think it's going to be used necessarily in that sort. I think it's just sort of the flexibility is going to be a lot of it. I think that because it's a level 20 talent, so you shouldn't be building your team necessarily. Or I just think you're taking it for the flexibility,
right?
It's just
but
like, hey, I can use it to force and engage harder than we could normally.
Yes.
Or I could just save somebody with it, and that flexibility is just really good.
Yeah. I also really like some of the what's it called? The combinations that you can now have with Renew now heals for 130 over 5 seconds, which he did before, but now his auto attacks refresh that duration. So let's say you as a solo laner at 16 you're not solo laning nearly as much, right? But you're still doing it. Like let's say Towers of Doom, right?
I'll be honest. I don't think you take Renew because
you still take the double leap.
Just because I feel like, especially in a good team, like in a real team fight where people are being focused correctly, it's going to be really hard to get good Renew. I think you just probably take double leap, but are those the only 3 talents he's going to have? Are Renew, Holy Nova, and Glyph?
No, he's gonna have the reset on the Q, which is the one I take now. But you hit the button and your Q resets instantly, and it does 20% more healing.
Maybe you still. I think it's probably either between that or Glyph. I don't think this Renew is good enough to make it worthwhile.
So, but think about it though. If let's say if you're not being aggressive, right? And you as a solo laner, you get renewed, and then you go off to your lane. But Anduin's still in the bottom lane with 4 other people, and he's just now healing 16. You over time.
At 16, it's too late though. You're not late. You're not like 1v1ing as like maybe except for like D-Shire, but like outside of that map, there's very few instances where you're just like in a lane solo and also fighting people to where that will matter.
Okay. I got you. No, I got you. That's why I was like 16's a little late, but it depends on really like what map you have. But
usually 16's the point on most maps where you're just gripping up all the time for the most part. Like you might go off to get some soak, but you're not expecting like to meet the other solo laner there. Like you're just doing it to catch the soak and then come back. Or what's going to happen is either you catch the soak and you come back, or you go there and then you get ganked and there's multiple people, and then the slight amount of healing that Renew offers won't really do much.
Right. The other thing too is you can get Renew on every single person now. So you can be healing up the entire team at the same time during team fights. If your team fights aren't half a second long.
That's the thing is, so like in a good team fight. So I'm talking like I'm thinking more competitively. In a competitive setting, people are just going to pick a target and blow it up.
Right.
And so like you still would, I think, rather have like Desperate Prayer or the not Desperate Prayer, whatever.
Please, not Desperate
Prayer
or
Glyph, just for more flexibility in terms of your pull targets.
Okay.
So that's just my thought. I don't think the new Renew is gonna be meta, but I think it's interesting. But I just think its use cases are way too narrow.
I think it depends on what map you're on specifically, and whether the enemy is a blow-up comp or if it's a sustained damage. I think if it's sustained damage, I think it'll do really well. If it's a blow-up, you're not getting value from it. But I like it. I think it's cool. I think it does cool stuff.
Yeah, I think overall it's a huge... Like, I think Anduin's way buffed by these changes, for sure. But,
yeah.
It's just going to be how... Like, now, I think if you go Lightwell at level 1, you're actually trolling. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay. Lightwell, I feel like is not... Obviously, like, not... I don't think it's the play. I like that it's a level 1 talent now, but I also really like... This is the thing. It's not the play, right? However, it works very much like the Lucio boombox. You throw it in top lane early, and now you have 500 healing, like, just off the bat. Whenever you want it.
Why didn't you pick... Wait, hear me out. Why didn't you pick Lucio?
Why didn't you pick Lucio? Look, I don't know. You needed needed pull.
That's the counter argument.
You needed pull. No, I would go either Even-Handed Blessing or I would go Power Word just to get the shield. I think the shield late game is going to be huge, but
plus the Even-Handed Blessings. So Even-Handed Blessings, I think, is something like I personally like it. Now, I know it's not as good if a target is being focused, but the thing is, even if a target is being focused down, right, it still can be 10% increased healing on the target as well as reducing your cooldown. So it can kind of act in a sense like your like the 16 where you can reset flash heal.
Yes.
So what you do is prior to a team fight breaking out, you use heal on yourself. So that way, when you heal anyone else, you're going to get the Even-Handed Blessings bonus. And then you heal your target, and it does bonus healing. And then if you need to heal that same target again, you have cooldown reduction on it. But if you need to switch to another target, right, you still have the cooldown reduction, then you get it again, plus the bonus healing, and so on and so on. So I just think it's a super strong... Like, I think Power Word Shield is interesting at level 1, but I just love Even-Handed Blessings. But maybe I just love that talent way too much.
I think it'll be cool. I think it'll get more value because it reduces your cooldown from 5 to 3 seconds. So it'll get us back to almost back to that 4-second, but even better. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like
cooldown on Flash Shield's really good.
Yeah. Now what do you think about Joe?
So I'm very hit or miss on the Joe rework because I don't care for the new level 1s because the new level 1s,
the lone talent,
Zealous Glare, I think Zealous Glare is, I guess, situationally good if you're against like a full auto team, but man, does that suck for your survivability. New Laws of Hope, like, it's just worse than old Laws of Hope, and like it's a lot. Like, you have to collect 20 like, it takes forever when you play a Nubarak. His 30 regen globe quest.
Oh yeah, you don't get it. Yeah.
And you need to do that many regen globes to have it be better than original Laws. So, like, I feel like that's actually this is a nerf to Laws of Hope, not a buff. And Divine Fortress is interesting, but I just hate the fact that they moved Hold Your Ground out from level 1. So
right.
You don't get Hold Your Ground. And now, because they moved so it's like, oh,
now they've moved Subdue to 4, so now you have to choose between Subdue and Hold Your Ground.
Right, which I hate that. Like, I love that you could get subdue earlier because I think it's a really strong ability. But now you're competing two of your best talents from the early game against each other, and you can only take one of them.
And
That
this is
sucks.
this is
And
the sad
then,
part for me is that I actually pick all of those level 4 talents. I pick Subdue, Eternal Retaliation, and Hold Your Ground.
oh yeah, that's yeah, I know you go that because you go like the wave cleary type thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I was never a big fan of that. I would always go Sins Exposed, but now Sins Exposed is at level 7, and now I think Sins Exposed sucks.
yeah. Sins
Because-
Exposed doesn't do it. It's now 25% healing instead of you do more damage.
Which I like. You could argue that's kind of the same thing because it's like, oh, they can't be healed as much. So maybe it's like maybe I'm not looking at it good enough, and it's actually better.
Nope,
but
nope.
I don't
Because
know.
this is the thing: is that Sins Exposed was mainly used for wave clear, right? You'd hit the wave with a thing, and then one
True,
other person
yeah.
would hit it, or you'd hit it with a condemn, and the wave is now clear, right?
Like I think at level 7 now, you're probably going.
You're probably going
think you'll probably go
conviction, right?
I don't. So here's the thing. I don't think Steed Charge is a meme. I know some people have been talking about. So here's the thing, right? You can kind of use it like the old 16, where you get
You get the movement
buff
speed.
whenever
Yeah,
you use your D, and it can allow you to find engages easier with. But you have to use Iron Skin to find it is the problem. But it was kind of like the old 16 though, where you use Iron Skin and I give you the move speed.
So according to Scoops went in, and so the mount is on a separate button. It is a 1. You do not need to be in Iron Skin.
Oh, it's not a.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually think Steed Charge is actually a solid
So
ability then.
but here's the thing though. You can be stunned, you can be rooted, you can be slowed during that time.
Mhm.
But you can't but just basic attack damage and spell damage won't reduce or won't dismount you.
But here's the thing, right? So you can still trait and then Steed Charge. And
Yes.
they can't stun you out of it.
Correct.
But I think it would like if they don't have any stuns available, you can just Steed Charge and it's decent, or you can also trade it. But I don't know. I don't think it's a bad ability. Like I know it looks a bit like a meme on paper, but like I think the increased Iron Skin duration by 1 second is kind of a meme because generally you have your Iron Skin popped. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I used to like that the level 16 that gave you an extra 2 seconds on it, and then I go Hold Your Ground, so now your shield's pretty sizable, right?
That's just the problem I have with Joe is I don't like the way that the talents were moved around. I think that there's some solid buffs in here, but I just hate the way that the talents were moved around. I mean, 10 is interesting.
10 is interesting. I don't think you're gonna use it for that, but 10 is interesting.
No.
And then Scoops and I were wondering, right? So does Falling Sword is the speed of Falling Sword set, or is it based on her movement speed? Because if it's based on her movement speed,
I think it's a set speed, but I'm not sure.
because if you go Conviction, right, you gain 10% movement speed. So then you add 10% to Falling Sword's movement speed. It's more scary. But still, I don't know if I'm not gonna pick Falling Sword just because it gives the unstoppable, right? That leaves our team like incredibly exposed. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think Falling Sword is interesting, but the way I think the way it's going to be used right now, like the way it's currently being used, it's much worse. I think if you draft like a full dive comp, it could maybe be useful, but that's about like the only situation where I think that's a buff.
And then we were oh yeah, go ahead.
I've never actually used Blessed Hammers. I can't tell you anything about this. I think it's interesting, but
I
think
also
this whole
don't use the
trying to
talent.
force an auto I think this whole they're trying to force a Joanna auto attack build is, I mean, so
Kind of
I was
wild.
talking about how you go like a solo laner Joanna build, and maybe it's actually not terrible. Like, because you think about it, right? Now she's going to be a lot squishier compared to a tank Joanna because like you'll probably go Laws at 1, or maybe you go Divine Fortress, and then you go like Eternal Retaliation at 4, and then like maybe like Conviction or Steed Charge, most likely at 7. You still probably go Bless, but I don't know. You could go whatever. You go Blessed Hammer at 13, like so because you are going to be focusing more on auto attacks with sort of the off lane build.
But this is against enemy heroes though. Against enemy heroes.
Right. So at this
Oh
point,
wait, no, damaging.
into...
No, hold up. Adjusted functionality, damaging enemies with basic abilities. Enemies. That's not just.
Yeah, so you can still charge it on waves. But what
yeah.
it is like even just the whole auto against heroes thing. An offlane Joanna is going to be auto attacking, I think, a lot more than a tank Joanna. So Blessed Hammer is actually is better for an offlane Joanna than it is for a tank. But but I think that's cool. I mean, I don't know. I didn't look too much at the level 20 just because I'm not familiar with anyone ever going that. So
I only go Falling Sword in ARAM. I don't go it in any game ever. Doesn't matter who I have on my team. But I do really like this level 20 in ARAM now because now I can heal my allies. So that's interesting. We were making our way through Raynor. We had just started with Raynor. We were talking about the new Exterminator talent.
So it's actually funny because some of the, it's hard for me to say. I honestly think so his attack damage is decreased. His Q is on a lower cooldown and mana cost, but it does a lot less damage. Exterminator, I can't hold. What was old Exterminator?
Old Exterminator was just increased damage to minions and mercenaries by 50%, and then increased with Inspire by 125, and that's it. There was nothing more to that. Now the change is that the Inspire does not expire on the minions and mercenaries that you throw it on. So it's now on there permanently.
So here's the thing. It makes him way better at taking, so this is a massive BOE buff, for example, because...
Yes, that's what I was saying. You go in the bottom lane, or you go into a lane, you Inspire, and then you leave. And you go back to the Immortals or whatever it is.
Wait a minute, what? Inspire does not expire on friendly minions and mercenaries.
So you get, let's say you get the Shaman, or you get the Khazra camp at the top and the bottom, right? A BOE. Right? You grab that before the Immortal spawns, like right before. You hit Inspire on it, and then you leave the lane. You leave. You just walk away. And now that they have, those minions and mercenaries have 50% extra attack speed. Period, until they die.
So it's like more of like a lane. So it's like a laning talent or something. For before you come to an objective, you just press W on a wave to try and get a little. I mean, it's interesting. The problem is, right? So it doesn't. What Exterminator was used for mainly before was just to
get camps.
Do camps quickly. But the problem is now, his damage numbers are reduced across the board. So Exterminator still does what it does, but his teamfight presence is going to be a lot weaker if you go Exterminator because of the fact that they just nerfed all his damage numbers, but basically left Exterminator the same. It'll be good for a full split push style Raynor, or if you have to do Jimmy Laner, the passive is nice, but for team fighting, right? It just feels like they're trying to push you into not going Exterminator anymore, right? Because now, you look at Q, they're trying to reward you, right, for using your Q on slowed targets,
right?
Which is generally what Raynor wants to do. So now, his Q does more damage than it used to do, and also, of course, his the buff from his old Ace in the Holes is still there, which is good.
No. See, that's wrong though, because the old Ace in a Hole gave him 10% damage to everything. So his auto, so when enemies were slowed, it doesn't matter about slowed by him or slowed by somebody else. His autos and his ultimate gave an extra 10% damage. So now they've gotten rid of that. That's gone now.
Ace in the Hole is actually trash now.
Yeah, so it's only penetrating round that deals 25%. which is the 25% that they took, or the 20% plus a little bit more that they took
Yeah,
away
Ace in the
from penetrating round at base.
So Ace in the Hole, I think, is trash now. You probably look at like veteran. So maybe it's not, because I know the meta build for Raynor was Q build.
Yeah, you
but,
go paint it red at 16 or whatever.
But maybe that's still not good enough. Like, I don't know. That just feels really lame.
Well, I still haven't even looked at the rest of Raynor's talents, so he might have better talents down the line that make penetrating round better. But I haven't looked. This is as far as I've gotten.
I mean, I'm just in it for veteran marksman.
Oh yeah, but veteran marksman, it's one of the new lone talents. It increases damage by 60% for given pepper, and every death decreases that bonus by 15%. So 4 deaths, and you get no more from that talent. But you still do get the the 0.75% for hitting enemy heroes. So that's tacked on. So if you don't die, you get huge buff. But if you die, you get the same thing as you got before.
I think it's important to keep in mind with Raynor the fact that generally he's considered a relatively safe damage dealer, right? You compare him to most of the other auto attackers, like
yeah, he's got crazy range.
Yeah, he's got extra range over all of them. Plus, he has his own self heal. Plus, he has a knockback. So he's generally the safest out of all of them. So I think if anyone's going to get advantage out of these lone talents, I think Raynor's actually a decent choice because he has all of those tools to help protect it. And of course, Inspire I think gives him a slight move speed boost also.
I don't think it gives it to him baseline.
Maybe not baseline, but either way, like he's a very safe character, so he'll be able to take advantage of that damage buff, I think, quite reliably. It's only on his auto attack though, and it's only on Give Him Some Pepper.
Yeah.
But it's not like Give Him Some Pepper is. I mean, that's a huge.
That's a lot of burst.
Buff.
Yeah, that's a lot of burst right there.
Yeah. I don't know if Veteran Marksman will be the pick. I think you might still end up going Exterminator, but I think Veteran Marksman is now very competitively like to the point where it's now starting to get viable. Like you can take Veteran Marksman and not be like trolling.
Again, it's another thing of like if they have dive, then you are kind of still in trouble. Or you still have to play safer than you have to do before.
The other thing too, I think on Alterac, particularly, so like let's say you have Raynor plus somebody else who can camp, right? Like let's say you have like Raynor and Maiev, just because I know we've run that a couple times with the team. You can put Raynor in the solo lane and have Maiev as your camp clear, and Raynor goes Veteran Marksman, and because you're in a solo lane, I don't think you're at great risk of dying.
Susceptible to ganks.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're generally a very safe laner, as well as it's honestly in a solo lane, it's very easy to get good quest value because your opponent has to walk up to the wave to get the experience globes and to kill the wave. So you will be able to stack your quest in a solo lane like that. I think on a map like that, where you have those specific conditions, I think Veteran Marksman's actually really strong.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more laners going on with that talent, but you just have to be really cognizant of your map, I think, of your mini-map, and whether people are coming up, because as soon as you die, boom, 50% gone. And if you do end up dying, 4 times, you get nothing out of this level 1 talent, like...
Well, no, because there's still the quest damage bonus.
Right, but now it's reduced from 1% to 0.75, so you're getting much less than you were before.
Right. But so the difference is you get a good spike early. So the problem with Veteran Marksman was, in comparison to Exterminator or Ace in the Hole, it did nothing in the early game. So it's like, yeah, you would get better as the game goes on, but you were stunting yourself so heavily in the early game that it really sucked. But now with Veteran Marksman, even if you end up dying a couple times, right, you have that huge early spike to help get you to the point where now you have some stacks. So the fact that it's reduced doesn't hurt as much because you had some throughout the earth. Now, if you die 4 times and you barely stacked this, yeah, like, wow.
Yeah.
This is terrible, but...
Like, I'm sorry.
But, like, I think that it's better than than it might look on the surface. I think that there are actually a lot of situations where Federal Marksman could be picked and be actually really strong.
Then 4, we have Behemoth Armor getting a buff from 5 to 8, which I don't think is still enough for you to pick the talent.
I don't think so either, other than maybe that Alterac scenario. But I think almost always you're still going to go Fuel the Rush.
Well, you're talking about like the 60-minute Alterac game that's you're just stuck as Jimmy Laner in the solo lane, like versus, I don't know, whatever.
Well, so I mean, because you think about it, it is a sizable buff, right? Like it's basically it's an over 50% buff, which is a lot, but it's so hard to pass up on the adrenaline boost.
Yeah.
Level 4. So, I mean, it runs into the same problem that you have to stack. It's like old veteran marksman. You have to stack it so many times for it to be viable. That
Right.
I think the only time where it's viable is if you're stuck in a solo lane where you might not necessarily need the bonus adrenaline rush as much, and you can stack it safely. But I don't know.
At 7, heavy slugs, penetrating round. Now, slow and duration are increased by 75%, which means the slow goes from 20% to 35%. And its slow is for 3.5 seconds instead of 2. So, that's pretty crazy. But I don't. Again, that's another talent that I don't think I would take because I'm losing. Like fuel the rush, which is the one that I tank. Cooldown reduction bonus while Inspire's active is goes from 200 to 300%. So now every auto while in Inspire reduces your cooldown for your heal by 3 seconds instead of 2.
Well, generally, I think Unstable Compound was usually the pick on this tier. I still don't think you'll generally go Fuel the Rush, just because. I mean, so I know you were going Q build, which was the main reason to go Unstable Compound, but maybe now if Q is like completely useless, maybe you'll end up going Fuel the Rush more.
I think the Q build was not necessarily for the damage that Q provided, right? It was for the displacement as well. Like that was half the thing, and that's still there.
Well, so the biggest reason to do it was for Paint Them Red at 16. So you would get the bonus damage at 16, as well as you would heal for all the damage that it deals, which was huge. And so by going Unstable Compound and being constantly able to lower its cooldown, because a good, like, once you hit Paint Them Red at 16, you could heal, like, more than what Adrenaline Rush was healing you for, and instantly. So you would go Unstable Compound generally to just keep lowering the cooldown of Penetrating. It also lowers your Inspire cooldown, which is useful too. But I think it was generally to lower your Q cooldown, so you could just like spam this massive damage Q that also heals you, like in a fight multiple times, which was really strong.
Go ahead.
So just having its cooldown nerfed definitely will hurt. But wait, hold on. Cooldown reduction reduced from 1.5 to what? Wait.
Yeah. So it's 1 second per. So the way that the Unstable Compound works is when you get your trait, it knocks off a second. So instead of 1.5, it's reduced to 1 second. So you don't get it back as fast, but they compensated that with the reduction originally from 10 to 9. So they're saying that it's they're saying that you should get the same cooldown reduction as you had before. You should have the same cooldowns, I think, is what they're trying to show. 13, Debilitating Round is removed because it got changed to the Heavy Slugs at 7. And then Line 'em Up, which is a new talent, reduce cooldown of Penetrating Round by 3 seconds. If 2 or more enemy heroes are hit, reduce it by another 3 seconds. So you can now get a 3-second Q if you hit 2 people.
The only problem with this is the old Debilitating Rounds had a mana reduction, so it would lower it from 65 to 45. I wonder if mana is going to be an issue for Raynor if he goes this.
Mana kind of, yeah, but mana has never been an issue for Raynor, right? Like, he's always been.
if you're spamming Q in a fight with this,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's gonna run out of mana eventually, but 3-second Qs are pretty. That's pretty powerful.
yeah, that's strong. I'm just saying, I'm afraid of a situation where it's like Rainer uses his Q like 3-4 times very quickly and maybe runs out of mana and like just runs out of steam in a fight.
Hmm.
Because I know his E has a super high mana cost, from what I remember. So
I think it's 60. Oh, wait, his E?
yeah,
Cost increased from. Oh, I don't know. I think his E is 70.
yeah, it's a pretty high mana cost. Anyway, I don't think it's a. I don't know what I'll probably because personally I always went auto build Rainer because I think it's the most fun. I mean I know auto build is the Q build, so I don't know how it'll change it. I actually think auto build is going to be a lot better on this patch, but see.
Yeah, I didn't normally go Q when I play Rainer. I usually went most autos, except for auto at 4. I did not go auto at 4. Giddy Up move increased from 8% to 10%, and then when you hit Inspire, it goes up another 10%. So that was the talent that I normally pick just to get base speed. Give me more. Weird. Move from level 13 to level 13. Okay.
No, it's from level 13 to 60.
No, it's at 13. Look at it.
No, they're telling you that talent left. Or no, it's saying give me more, which was a 16 talent, is coming to 13, and then Rallying Cry. Wait, oh, they.
Yeah, they copy pasted it wrong. Also, by the way, if you scroll up to the hold on 1 second, it's the Johanna talent. Eternal Retaliation at level 4. Johanna's next basic attack removes mark, lowering the cooldown of Condemn by 1 second, refunding 10 mana, and killing minions.
Yeah, that's why I think you would go that maybe like a soloing build.
I just meant the wording of killing minions. Like, not if Mark is a minion, it kills minion. Does it just kill every minion? I just thought that was funny.
It's like it'll kill minions that
yeah.
you get with your honor.
No, I know. I was being funny. Rallying Cry moved from 13. Its new functionality is increases Inspire attack speed by 20%. And then Inspire is cast for free every 12 basic attacks. I don't know. I think that's fucking awesome, but I wouldn't pick that over the percent damage, so.
Yeah, if you're going auto build, I think you still would go Bounty Hunter, but...
But, here's the thing, though, is if you do pick Rallying Cry, and you picked at level 1, you picked Exterminator, those minions now do 70% attack speed. That Khazra camp is never fucking dying. Never dying. That's fucking awesome. 20 weak spot they got rid of, execute they got rid of, indomitable they got rid of. They added a bunch of new talents that do similar stuff. My favorite one though is executive orders. Reduce your death timer to 30 seconds, and then upon death cast Hyperion towards your nearest enemy hero.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
That's so
stupid.
That's so fucking funny. It's so funny.
I still want to test though. I want to still try testing to see if you can just like one-shot a core with 3 Hyperions by like having Rainer cast Hyperion, die, and Hyperion goes over the core, and then rezzed by Ariel, and then dies again and has a 3rd Hyperion go over the core.
Well, we should try it.
I mean, so here's the thing. You can't do that very successfully because the problem is it goes towards the nearest enemy hero.
Right.
So like you can't control where it's
No,
going,
and it's probably the enemy heroes right next to you as they're killing you, right? So therefore, it's probably going like perpendicular to the core. It ain't going straight at the core, that's for sure.
Hey, it's gonna be if it like perfectly lines up to where it can kill the core. I'm ready for the Red Eclipse.
That'll be freaking dope.
Where someone somehow manages to like die 3 times as Rainer and kill a core.
Duskwing now lowers enemy armor by 2 for every second, stacking up to 25. Hyperion now increases to 100% damage if you hit an enemy with a primary. Give him some pepper. Give him some pepper activates every 3rd basic attack instead of 4, which I think will be the play. Unless you go. Wait, additional duration ends immediately upon reaching 70% health. What is the Raider's role? I don't understand that. Adrenaline Rush grants unstoppable and continues healing for 2 additional seconds.
So if you're low health, it'll just keep healing you for more time, and you're unstoppable the entire time that your E is active.
Oh.
So like you can't be crowd controlled, which can be nice. But if you reach the additional duration, what's the
what? Yeah, once you hit 70 seconds, the additional seconds turn off.
No. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me find. So the actual duration of the ability is.
Isn't it 5 seconds?
It is. He'll Rainer for 25% of his maximum health over 1 second. So now it can theoretically go up to 3 seconds. So you could get up to 75% of your max health.
I see.
However,
it caps at 70.
So after So after your first second of healing, if you are still below 70% health, it will continue to heal you. However, if after 1 second of healing, at any point you reach 70% health, it stops. So you can get up to 3 seconds of healing, but it's generally only going to be if you're getting focused or if you were at super low health to begin with. Otherwise, it won't just give you this massive chunk of healing no matter what. So, like, you have to be low health to constantly get this bonus. So it's dangerous. I think it's interesting. I still don't think it'll ever be picked, but maybe there's a world where it gets picked. I don't know. I think it's better than a lot of these other ones. Like, I mean, I honestly think all of these level 20s are possibly a nerf for Rainer because Execute was just so good as a level 20 ability. Like,
I mean, but this is the thing though. Execute's good, right? However, if you went at level 1, you went Veteran Marksman, and then at 20 you go Sergeant Pepper, and you haven't died, I think you're getting more attack damage generally throughout the life of your enemy, because you'd only get more attack damage when they were below 25% health or below 50% health.
The other important thing, though, to keep in mind is that Execute also gave you bonus attack speed.
It did give you bonus attack speed, yes, you're right.
So,
which currently nowhere in his kit gives him bonus attack speed except for Inspire
16.
And 16.
So it's at 16 it does, but now that competes against the you're able to lower your, or what was 16? So
16 was Paint Them Red.
Or no, I'll tell you. So in the old, like, just auto build, you used to go.
It'd go percent damage.
It'd be percent damage.
And the activatable.
The target,
no, it wouldn't lower any armor. That was a 20.
Right, I'm reading it right now. It says if Give 'em Some Pepper's target is a hero, it deals an additional 3% of their maximum health as damage and grants Rainer 10 armor.
Okay.
3 seconds.
Okay,
so you get a little bit of armor.
So you get armor, yeah.
But the important thing is you could just activate your trait.
Yes.
Which was huge, right? So it does a lot of what Sergeant Pepper does, in the sense that, like, the general combo as Rainer was, for me at least, it would be like fire 3 shots, fire my 4th shot, have it proc, and
activate immediately.
And just use another one. And so, like, you just massive chunk someone. And it's like, I feel like you just can't give that up if you're going like a full-on trait build. So now you're just losing the 20% attack speed from Execute. Yeah, you'll do a little bit more damage a little bit faster with Sergeant Pepper, right? But how necessary is Sergeant Pepper? Because you're already going to be double trading someone, and that's going to remove most of their health anyway. I guess in a very extended fight it's better, but man, it just feels real. And especially because Execute just increased its damage no matter what. So as long as, if you like double peppered someone at below half health,
I mean, they were definitely in trouble at that point.
And now Sergeant Pepper might not do that because you don't have that Execute damage. So I don't know. I think that overall, all of these 20s are actually a nerf for Rainer. Like, I don't necessarily care for. I think Sergeant Pepper can be fun in like a meme full trait build, but I don't necessarily think it's better than Execute. I just think you would rather have Execute most of the time.
And now with the new like globes and stuff, games are gonna get to 20 more often, I think.
Yeah, that's my general thought too.
So.
Anyway, I'm gonna go grab something to eat real quick. Sorry, I popped in, but
You're good.
I realized I'm gonna eat something real
dude,
quick. I'm
go
sad
for it.
though. 'Cause you're moving on to Stitches, and Stitches.
We're
is the
moving
fun
on.
part,
We're
so-
moving on to Stitches. We're moving on to Stitches. If you come back after you eat, we can chat about it.
All right, I'll be back.
Orion, you want to chat?
Sure, why not?
All right. Did you read the patch notes?
Absolutely not.
Okay then.
So I'm going to have zero perspective. I am playing Vala on the PTR right now.
Oh, sweet. Why don't we chat about Vala before we chat about Stitches then? So
Like I
let's.
said,
So you just tell me how things feel to you.
I think I'm eventually gonna like it. It looks weird on paper. I'm really bad at evaluating stuff on paper.
Right.
But I think they made her, like, she's always had viability in different builds, but I think they made it more so.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bummer to lose Monster Hunter on 1, but I think it's made up for the fact by you get a never-ending quest on your queue instead of like getting like 20.
Yes.
And I haven't been able to get to level 20 on the PTR with AIs, but I think her level 20s are going to be nice.
So we'll make our way through it. I'll read to you the stuff, and you can tell me how you feel about it as a Vala player, because you do play Vala. I mean,
I used to main her before I started maining Greymane, because Greymane was like a, I don't want to say a better Vala, but a more survivable version of Vala.
or more bursty Vala.
Like, I used to play Vala a lot, especially when we first started NGS in
Right.
Season 5.
So general base changes for Vala. Damage decreased from 75 to 70, and multi-shot damage also decreased from 172 to 165, so 5% decrease. Around a 6 or 8% decrease for both of those. Caltrops have been removed at level 1. No more Caltrops. No more slowing.
Totally fine with that.
I mean, I never picked it.
I know a lot of people who did. I was not a fan of Caltrops.
Puncturing Arrow, as you said, has been moved from level 4 to level 1. It immediately increases the bounce of Hungering Arrow by 1. Just starting. And then hitting an enemy hero with the initial shot permanently increases the wait. Hitting an enemy hero with the initial shot of Hungering Arrow permanently increases the initial shot damage by 6 and refunds 40 mana. So it doesn't do it by the bounce. It does it just by the shot itself.
Right. But I mean, like, the initial shot is generally what you're aiming for to get your damage out to begin with.
That's your burst?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I remember the other one was every bounce was increased by 100 when you finished it.
Oh, you know what? I'm a little fuzzy on what the other one was. But now it's, like, infinitely stacking.
Now it does infinitely stack, so you can go way more than just 20 that you could get before. So,
Right.
and
Like, I am about 10 minutes into a game with the AI, and I have about 22 stacks. And I'm being pretty shitty about it.
so 22 stacks, how much damage does that do now on a Q?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Bonus damage is 132.
Which is more than you would have gotten already. Because you would have only gotten 100, and then it capped out. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the bummer is, like you said, it would
It's
only be to the initial target, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Especially if you're gonna, you got that at level 1, so you're gonna stack it through the entirety of the game.
Exactly. Fire at Will, the new W talent. Every hero hit by multi-shot gains 2 hatred. So if you hit 2, it gives you 4, so on and so forth.
I think that's gonna be really good on Braxis.
Oh, it's going to be great. Enemy heroes hit by multi-shot permanently increase its damage by 4. Permanently. Throughout the whole course of the game. Every single one. It really reminds me of the the Q talents on Cassia, which everyone increases it by 1.5. But this one increases it by 4. But it's a longer cooldown, so how much is the cooldown on your W?
It's 12 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, but like you're also talking about comparing that to like Cassia's Q, where
Wait, which is 4
Cassia's-
seconds, yeah.
Right, and then like on top of that, like I know you can hit multiple heroes with it, but multi-shot should be a lot easier to hit multiple heroes. 'Cause
Yep.
It goes out in a cone instead of like a straight line that
Yep.
then like ricochets.
And then Creed of the Hunter, moved from level 4, new functionality. This is another one of the lone talents.
That's gonna be really interesting. I haven't tried it yet, and it's Vala, so like you can basically expect that loan to go away.
Well,
I
the
hate to
loan
say
is
it.
20% attack speed, and then every death reduces it by 5, so 4 deaths, and you get nothing again. But it does have a quest associated with it. Every 50 basic attacks against enemy heroes increases your damage by 1% up to 5. But that's per hatred stack. So let's say you get 250 basic attacks on enemies. Now your so hatred increases your damage by 10%, correct? Per stack.
It is 8% per stack.
8% per stack, so max stacks is 80%. So now this will be 13 per stack, so 130%. If you get 250 autos on enemy heroes, which
But
Zul'jin
again,
can
that's
do.
That's from level 1.
That is from level
so,
1.
Like, that's not an insane ask. The insane ask would be to keep the loan while doing that.
Right.
And being Vala.
And I mean, if you do hit level 20, the 20 talent is insane, but we'll get to that
Dude,
shortly.
20 talents seem nuts. Like I haven't gotten there, but they seem awesome.
Level 4, we got a repeating arrow, which she had before. It's moved from level 7. New functionality, Vault no longer costs mana.
I'm doing that right now on Battlefield of Eternity. It feels really nice not to have that cost mana.
Yeah, I mean, the mana cost going off is, she can now focus more on the Q and more on the W, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, don't need to waste
And now-
silly mana.
Yeah, and now, even if you're out of mana, you still have your escape,
Right. I didn't even think about that.
which is kind of
That's a
Kinda
really
dope.
good point.
You can also still have follow-up if you're out of mana. Like, yeah, let's say you dive in, right, real quick, and cap the kill. But before, you wouldn't be able to do that because you still had the mana cost. Arsenal, which is the W, increased the range of multi-shot by 20. It now launches grenades that restore 25
That's-
mana when hitting enemy heroes, which it did before.
It did, but the range on it was on Frost Shot on 13.
Exactly.
So you get it much earlier now.
So now, if you go fire at will, you can stack. You can stack more at level 4. What do you mean you can stack more? Oh yeah. You can stack more of your fire at will, the multi-shot, at level 4. It's much easier for you to stack, which is kind of cool. And the restoring the mana is kind of dope. That's mana retention. Vala's never had mana retention before, except for the one,
Did it not
the auto attack
do-
one.
Did it not do that before, or was it just the cooldown?
Cooldown, just cooldown. But now it's the cooldown's gone. Which kind of sucks. So currently at level 4, she still has no cooldown talent on the W. And then Death Dealer added functionality, which I don't know what it did before. Lowers the cooldown of Vault by 5 seconds. Increases the damage bonus of Vault by... oh, no, that's exactly what it used to do. It lowered the cooldown of Vault. Increases its damage of Vault from 50 to 150. And if the target dies, you get new Vault. And you get 50
don't-
mana.
The mana must be the new,
I think
new
that...
part of that.
I think the new part of this is actually the cooldown on Vault. And maybe the mana as well.
No, if they died, you got instant cooldown reduction on Vault.
No, but this one gives you cooldown on Vault, period. 5-second cooldown on Vault. Which you
Oh,
used to
okay,
get
okay,
with
yeah,
which
yeah.
you used to get with Caltrops.
Right. No, you're right. They took that off Caltrops and put it on this. I was thinking about the if they die.
Oh yeah,
Like
at the end, yeah. Then you get the vault back. Yeah.
right.
So it's just a better talent altogether, and now you have vault on a. What's your vault cooldown?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. So then your vault cooldown's on a 5-second cooldown. You have an escape at 5 second escape. It's not
That
bad.
resets on kills.
That does reset on kills. Yeah. Level 7, you finally get Monster Hunter at level 7. Which reduces the mana cost of Hungering Arrow. Or no longer reduces the mana cost of Hungering Arrow. But now
I
it's...
don't think that's why most people pick that anyway.
Nope, people picked it for the increased damage on minions and mercs. Frost Shot, which was moved from 16. New functionalities. Enemies hit by multi-shot are slowed. And Hungering Arrow now deals 25% more damage to slowed targets.
I played W build last game. That felt nice. I like that.
So now, at level 1, you actually pick Puncturing Arrow. And then at level 7, you pick Frost Shot. And then you get the big burst.
Yep, especially if you're not on like Battlefield of Eternity or
You
Guardian
don't
of
need the
Terror,
Monster
where
Hunter,
you
right?
don't need Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Hot Pursuit, which was moved from level 1, its functionality is now when you were at your movement speed is now per hatred stack for 2.5. So now you're always faster, even with one hatred, you're still faster. Let's see. The big thing to take away from the level 7 Monster Hunter is that Vala won't have the buff for the first objective. Yes. She won't have it for first because you're usually not. Usually 6. You may get 7 in the middle of it, but not at the beginning.
Yeah, you're not gonna have it.
10s were not changed at all. But 13s were. 13s are changed. Siphoning Arrow. Oh, Siphoning Arrow is now renamed Siphoning Arrows. Multiple. Every hero hit by Hungering Arrow heals Vala for 4% of her maximum health. Every hero hit by Multi-Shot heals Vala for 2% of her maximum health. So that works well if you go the range. If you go bounces at 1, range at W range at 4, then you have maximum range and maximum bounces for your arrow. But I still don't think I'd pick that. Tempered by Discipline. The trait, new functionality, basic attacks heal for 10% of maximum damage, increases by an additional 2% for each stack of hatred. So now you get healing baseline, and you can go up to 30% at max stacks. So that's interesting.
I mean, on that level, assuming that you're playing coordinate, I'd still just go Gloom.
Yeah, Gloom now just has more functionality, which instead of just the basic, the activatable and the basic spell armor, it now heals for 2.5 health per second for each stack of hatred. So now you just have, if you're at 10 stacks of hatred, then you're healing 25 per second, which is pretty fucking fast. Especially if you can get one auto off and then leave, and then one auto off and then leave. You can essentially heal off an entire wave of minions from 0 to full.
I didn't even notice that. Siphoning Arrows is nice, but I think Scoops would be super insulted if I ever took that.
If you took Gloom?
No, if I took Siphoning Arrow.
Oh, Siphoning Arrow, yeah. I think that I just don't know. Like, healing for 2% of her maximum health is 2% less than 25 health? I'm just not sure. How much health do you have? What level are you at right now?
I'm at level 21.
21? How much health you got?
I have 3,056.
3,000. I wonder if the health scales. What, did you pick Gloom?
I did not have picked siphoning arrows because I'm playing with the AI and I don't trust an AI to heal me.
Okay. Can you mouse over Gloom and see if it is more than 2.5 health per second?
No, it just has that same readout of 2.5 per second.
Okay, so it doesn't stack. It doesn't scale. Maybe.
So my real question, well, I guess that's a dumb question.
What?
With Frost Shot, I know this. We're going back a couple levels.
That's fine.
Does extra damage to slowed enemies? And I was wondering if the Immortals counted as slowed enemies, but you wouldn't take that because you have Monster Hunter, and why would you do that?
Yeah, but also it's only Hungering Arrow deals more damage to slowed enemies. It's nothing else does.
Right.
Yeah. But I guess Monster Hunter technically is just a Hungering Arrow talent, period. So. Yeah, health scales at 4% per level, but Gloom is a flat rate. So. But I still think Gloom would really assist you in prolonged fights. But
I still think Gloom is the correct pick, unless like you're in.
Well, especially
Storm
for
League.
burst, yeah. Because it gives you that armor. It gives you that flatline 20% armor, and then you can escalate it to 40%.
I would still go Gloom.
I think Gloom is still the pick, yeah.
Like, unless I was in like Storm League and legitimately did not trust my healer, and even then, like, depending on their team, like the spell armor is absolutely worth it.
Right. 16 punishment move from level 7, new functionality. While at max hatred, multi-shot's cooldown is refreshed by 50%. So you said it was on a 10-second cooldown before?
Yep.
So then
sorry, it's on a 12-second cooldown.
12-second cooldown. So you get 3 seconds. So now it's on a 9-second cooldown. And that's it. It just goes to a 9-second cooldown. Hatred, while at max hatred, all damage you deal is increased by 10%. I mean, that's really good.
So I'm torn about how they changed Seething Hatred, because it used to be spell damage was more, but that you stack twice per auto attack.
Correct.
For your hatred, so you only needed 5 to get to full stacks, which was really nice, especially on Battlefield of Eternity if you went Q build, because then you only needed to attack the Immortal 5 times before proccing spell damage.
Right,
that
right.
Was extra.
I
think I like it better.
I think in the end of the day you'll get more damage out of it, but I just again that would be a crunch the numbers type thing.
I mean, also if you're playing Valo correctly, you shouldn't be letting your hatred drop off, but I mean, going through that jungle on Battlefield of Eternity is a little rough. You can't keep that up unless the Immortal's there. Yeah.
At 20, you get Death Siphon, which is for strafe. Hitting an enemy hero with strafe increases its duration by 0.125. While strafing throughout piercing bolts that deal 34 damage and heal for 25% of their damage dealt. So now, how long can you strafe for if you're hitting everybody? If you're hitting 5 people, how long can you strafe for? What did you pick at 20?
I picked Storm of Vengeance because I think that is just absolutely ridiculous.
Storm of Vengeance. Basic attacks against enemy heroes reduce the cooldown of Rain by 5 seconds. That's what it was before. Every stack of Hatred now grants 2% attack speed, and while at max, gain additional 30. So now instead of 2%, you can go up to 20. So now you get 50% attack speed.
They took Rancor and combined it with Storm of Vengeance.
Yep.
Which is just stupid, because then you also reduce the cooldown on your stuns.
Yeah.
And you're attacking faster, so the faster that you attack and the more stacks of hatred you get, the faster you...
That's kind of wild.
cooldown, you're stunned. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't. The only other talent I think I could. I mean, like, I wouldn't go with Death Siphon because I don't go strafe.
I like this Farfight Quiver one though.
Yes, that is awesome that they changed it from like a flat 2.2
Yeah.
to a percentage based on that. Because like, what does that?
So new
She's a
functionality. Oh yeah, she's at 5, right?
5.5.
And now it
I'm
goes
not-
to 20% basic, just off the bat, 20% more attack range. And then max hatred, you go to 30% additional on top of that. So now you're 50%. Now your attack range is 7.7.
Yeah, 7.75. I think. I don't know how it rounds that.
7.75 attack range. You are now Hammer.
Yeah, you became Hammer or Zul'jin if he completes Headhunter.
Which nobody's picking Headhunter these days. Everybody's picking freaking Recklessness, right?
Yeah.
So now you
I think
outrange
some of
him. Though, does she still have a movement speed talent
Yeah.
at 1?
She gets movement speed if you go Hot Pursuit on 7.
Oh, I see that. Okay, gotcha. So now you'd want to go Creed of the Hunter. You'd go Creed of the Hunter. Whatever you want at 4, but probably
You'd probably go Death Dealer.
Death
just
Dealer.
Like auto attack build.
Yeah.
And then Hot Pursuit.
Hot
Raid of
Pursuit,
Vengeance.
Rain.
Rain.
Probably tempered by Discipline.
I mean, I would still go Gloom, unless I was in like Storm uncoordinated. I think it's too good to pass up on the 20 spell armor that gets up to 50.
16 Seething Hatred, 20 Farflight Quiver. You're just like a fucking tank.
So
See, you're a siege tank.
on 16, I think I would go Manticore, dependent on their team. Like if you're going into any substantial tank. Like
Oh,
a
right.
Garage,
Manticore's at 16.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you have to make a choice
right.
between Seething Hatred and Manticore.
I'd go
So-
Manticore.
Yeah, I think so. I think Seething Hatred you're only gonna go if you're going Q build.
Now, I think if you're going Storm of Vengeance, by the way, you have to go Manticore. I don't think you have a choice if you're planning on going Storm of Vengeance.
Why do you say that?
If you go Storm of Vengeance, right, you gain the 50% attack speed. So now, your 3 auto attacks are within a second, right? Or within a second and a half, maybe?
Right.
So now,
I mean-
you get that, what, 6% is Rancor?
Are you talking about Manticore? Or
Manticore.
It's 5%.
5%. 5% every second and a half?
I mean, so I agree. I went Seething Hatred and then went Storm of Vengeance because I was playing on Battlefield of Eternity. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying about Manticore. Like I generally take Manticore on maps that are not Battlefield of Eternity.
I think if you're going a Manticore like auto attack style build, I still don't think you'll go Storm of Vengeance just because the attack speed, it might get to the point where it's unwieldy because that'll be 50%
Right, you're
bonus
now,
attack
yeah, you're
speed.
now, well, especially if you go at level 1, you go Creed, right? So you gain 20% attack speed. Now you literally can't stutter step
you can't-
fast enough.
Yeah.
And so the other problem with it too is you're also, and I mean this sounds stupid, but by taking that talent, you're not taking Farflight Quiver, and Farflight Quiver makes it literally brings auto attack build together because it allows you to do stuff from so much safer of a distance.
I mean, like if you take Farfight Quiver and you're at full stacks, you can attack the Immortal without ever getting stunned.
And never having to move, yep.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna have to stop you there. No,
Because
no, I'm gonna stop you there, Ryan. We're gonna move on to the next point. No, it's
because
like,
you're are you saying that you're assuming that I get stunned without that?
No, I'm saying, Orion, you don't need that.
But
Anyway,
otherwise, I'd get stunned.
God, okay. In a team fight, having only, I think Vala's auto attack range is like 5 or 5.5 or something like that. I think it was 5.5. I looked it up, but like old Farflight Quiver was like 2.2 additional range. Like it was insane. And so because auto attack build was so dangerous because you had to be up in the mix of everything to constantly get all of your and it took time to get your damage down. But with Farflight, now you're just so far away, like you just feel so far away from everything, and it allows you to do that consistent damage that you weren't able to do otherwise.
Now that I'm thinking about it, right, you get 20% basic attack range and then another 30% while you're at full stacks of hatred, which is still only 50%, which just puts you at 2.75, which is only 0.05 better than Farfight Quiver, like the original version of it.
I was talking, I think I said it to Cactus, where I'm like, I actually think that this is a Farflight Quiver nerf, to be honest with you.
It is.
But, like, when you do have max hatred, it is slightly better, but if you're going like a full auto build, I still think you'll go Farflight Quiver over Storm of Vengeance, like, just because it's so much attack speed if you go Storm, and you just want that reliable safety of Farflight Quiver in the end game. And
I agree.
I don't think Acrobat is what you want either, because that's just a little nutty. Maybe you go Acrobat instead.
So I think you go Acrobat if you want a Q build, because then you get 2 additional charges of Vault, and Vault doesn't cost you any mana. So you're basically just flipping around, throwing out Qs the entire time.
Did we talk about Infinite Strafe already, though?
So this is what I was asking: is can you hold Strafe forever if you hit 5 people at a time?
I mean, I would assume so. I think Strafe takes every half second. Am I wrong?
I don't know. But if you hit 5 people, it looks like that would be half seconds, so...
Well, 5 people would be more than, I think. Hold on, let me see. Talent is... It just says rapidly attack.
Yep, because it was made before the game was like an actual game.
I assume it's every like half second. So
it lasts for 4 seconds, and it refreshes at a rate of 0.125 per hero hit. So.
Right. So my point is, if you're next to 4 heroes, if it ticks every half second, if you're next to 4 heroes, it will infinitely channel.
Cool. So it's like the old reverse amp talent to 20.
I don't think it's good. But...
I mean, it's good if you can't be interrupted. But I mean, you can be interrupted out of strafe. So, I do like the healing that it can give, but I still don't think I still pick Farflight Quiver over everything here.
I'm gonna be that guy. I would probably go Storm of Vengeance because I'm also the guy that goes Wizened Duelist.
I go Wizened Duelist.
Here's the thing, right? If you get to stand still, and you could basically just turn into Tychus late game if you go like Storm of Vengeance, and then you also have Creed because you're just attacking so fast. But it's like,
it's like
especially if you haven't died yet, right? If you haven't died yet, then you still have that. You still have the 20% at base.
But here's the thing, right? Because with Tychus, at least you have the safety net of you're about to receive healing 30 seconds.
No! No! Stop! No! We're moving on. We're moving on. Developer comment. Our resident demon hunter has one of the most diverse talent trees in the game. So our main goal with these talent changes were to inject some cross synergies and brighten up the design to our blander talents. And we're just essentially you just baked 2 talents together.
You also run into the same problem with the attack speed with Phoenix if you pick Singularity Charge. Like, you just can't move because your attack speed is so fast.
Is that the 16 one?
No,
that's 20.
His repeater cannon grants 100% more attack speed.
And then his phase bomb has 100% range, so. And then they're testing the lone talents. We're going back. We're going back because we got our main man in here
Alright,
to
I'm
talk
glad
about
I'm here
to talk about some Stitches. I thought that we'd go back just for you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna step out, but thanks for the talk, Luigi.
Yeah, of course, no problem. That was thanks for playing the hero that we were chatting about.
planned.
Planned, absolutely 100% planned. Stitches getting some reworks. The biggest rework of all is Hook Q. Additional functionality. Upon reaching 13, you just get 40% more range. Just done. No talent needed. Nothing needed. Just he gets it. And from what it said, by the way, is that there's gonna be a thing on your screen that says that he got it. Like it's gonna pop up with like an announcement on the side of the screen.
Notification.
Yeah. So everyone will know that he's got it. Slam has been
I mean, I think
increased.
it's
Oh,
good,
go ahead.
obviously.
What was that?
I'm just saying, yeah, it's good, obviously.
I think it's gonna be very good. Now he doesn't have to pick that, which I didn't pick anyway. But I also don't play Stitches. Slam, the cooldown has been increased from 7 to 8, and then it no longer deals additional damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters. But the duration of the slow has been increased by half a second. So he can no longer side soak just passively. I'm sure there are talents down the way that will let him do that.
Just read the next piece.
Okay, Vile Gas, new functionality. Enemies, not heroes, enemies hit by basic attacks or the inner area of the slam are infected with Vile Gas, dealing 25 damage over 3 seconds. Increased to 150 to minions, mercenaries, and monsters. What?
Yeah, so basically his wave clear is now tied to his trait instead of his W.
But his trait activates as... He can activate his trait... Wait. Activate to spread Vile Gas to nearby enemies every second and prevent Stitch's movement speed from being reduced below 110% for 5 seconds. Is that supposed to be 100% or 110?
I think it's going to be 110. So here's my thought. I think that either one of two things are true. Either A, when he activates this, he gains 10% movement speed, so he's just faster for 5 seconds. Or B, it's to accommodate the fact that there are other movement speed talents down the line.
Yeah.
And that it'll keep that cap at 110%, so he can't be reduced below that. I'm not sure. It could be either or.
Now, what is the cooldown on this?
I don't know. That was like the first thing I was going to test once I hop on the PTR.
But I do like that okay, so 150% damage, so that's 40, 52, 60. I think that's 65 or 70, around 65, 70 damage per over 3 seconds. How much does a minion have at level 1?
I mean, it might have more. I mean, for all I know, it could have more than that. I mean, I don't know exactly how much, but the thing. So I was talking. I'll just spoil a little bit here. I was talking with Edict. I actually think Stitch is going to be a viable solo laner after this update because
the level 1, right?
The basic attacks are solid, right? But the other thing too is that you can use your trait. And it's 5 seconds of the gas plus the additional 3 seconds after it ends. It's 8 seconds of this bonus damage. Now, so that would accommodate to like 27 times 2.6 repeating.
Right, because it's more than the 3 seconds, yeah.
Right. So let's say it'd be like 70 damage, and then that 70 damage, 150% of that is what, 140, like about 160, 170 damage, let's say?
Yeah, 175.
And so now it's 175 damage to all minions around it. And then, of course, it also applies on Slam, so you can then slam the wave and get another 3 seconds. So even just with these talents, right, he has wave clear. Like, he has decent wave clear.
And then he can stay in the wave with the level 1, which is the Patchwork Creation. Is that right?
So I think it's hard to say which one of these I'm going to go in the solo lane if I was to go one. So
You
I
know
think it's
damn
either
well
Patchwork
you're gonna go Stitches in a solo lane at some point. You know damn
yeah,
well you're
I'll
gonna
do
do it.
I'm trying it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. You read the talent.
Okay, so Patchwork Creation, new functionality. This is a brand new talent, not brand new talent, but new talent does brand new stuff. Gain 3 armor for each enemy, not enemy hero, just basic enemy affected by Vile Gas. Doubled while Shambling Horror is activated, stacks up to 8 times. So, and then your passive obviously is gain that 15% extra healing. But 8 times 3 is 24, so you have 25. Essentially a fourth of the damage that you take is decreased, and you walk into the wave and then you just get it, right?
Well, so you have to activate your trait, or so it would either be you have to use Shambling Horror to hit the whole wave, or you have to. So it's only the inner area.
Of the slam. Yeah.
So oftentimes I don't. Unless the wave bunches up really nicely, it's going to be hard to hit the whole wave with your W.
Well, you're definitely hitting, for sure you're hitting half the wave with one
You
Q.
probably hit 4 minions with your W.
Yeah, you're hitting like the middle one and maybe the back 3 and leaving the front minions. Or you're hitting...
No, I'm, like, if you're... I'm assuming you'd hit the front 3 and then the middle minion. If you're, like, Wing in front of the wave.
Isn't it the middle cone? It's not like the closer to you, right? Oh, no, it is closer to you.
No.
It's range, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you're probably hitting the first 3 minions and then the middle minion and that's it. I don't think hitting it from the side you'd get any more minions, to be honest.
Not probably. I mean, maybe you get, like, 1 extra. I don't think it's that big of a deal, though.
You have the next talent, a Savor the Flavor E, new functionality, increased, hitting a hero with Devour increases Stitch's health regen by 1.5, and the damage that Vile Gas does by 2% stacking up to 100 times.
Okay, so, wait, real quick. I just want to actually go back to Patchwork Creation super quickly.
Okay.
Just to say, I know Ide brought up a really solid point about this. On Infernal Shrines, if you use your trait on, like, the Infernal Shrine point,
In the shrine, yeah.
you'll just have, like, during an objective phase, you'll just have, like, 50 armor. Like, that's crazy.
No, not 50, 25.
Right, but if Shambling Horror is active, it doubles. So, it's the 25 times 2, which is 50. So, like,
No. Wait, what? Oh, doubled while Shambling Horror is active. Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. So you get 50.
On Infernal Shrines, you just have like 50 armor on the point if you use Shambling Horror, and you gain bonus healing. So, like, how do you kill when he uses Shambling Horror on Infernal Shrines during a minion phase?
You just back up
like,
now.
Killable for 5 seconds. Like, what? And even after it ends, right? He's still got his gas on most of the minions, so he'll still be at like 20 armor.
He'll still have 25 armor, yeah. Though the armor will probably, or no. Does the armor go away as soon as the enemy is dead?
Right. So that was what we were talking about. Because I was like, so it will fall off. But like that is sort of like a nice little power spike that you can do. Like when the fight breaks out on Infernal Shrines, you could activate your trait and run in there and just like basically you're just at 50 armor because minions are going to be respawning even when you're killed. So
right.
Get it off.
I mean, it'll just go up and down, but like it'll be pretty frequent that you're at that 50 or 25 armor.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of armor the whole time. Savor the Flavor though. Thinking about this a little bit in the soul lane also because increasing your health regeneration, right? It's just health regen is extremely important in the soul lane. You want it, the more health you can regain, the harder it is to move you out of lane.
Right.
And also increasing your Vile Gas damage means you're gonna do more damage to the waves. Because because every little bit of extra damage Vile Gas gets, it's multiplied by 150% on minions.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you go to 200%, let's say you end up stacking this to 100, which you won't do. It just won't happen. But you'll get like probably what, like 40 throughout the game.
I mean, in the Soul Lane, especially in a melee matchup, you can stack this pretty reliably, actually.
I mean, it's 16-second cooldown, right? It's like the longest cooldown in the game that's not a heroic.
Right. So like it's 16 seconds. Well, there's something else. Hold on. I'm just looking.
Down the line.
Check something. Down the line. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a way to stack it faster. But also, even just like in a melee matchup, 16 seconds is basically twice per wave, which, I mean, that's not irrelevant. That's a decent amount of healing.
Yeah.
You know, or that's a decent amount, like, you know, generally, like, you'll probably fight over about, like, 6-7 waves before a first objective, and if you're using it basically off cooldown, you'll probably get, you know, like 12 stacks or something like that, and that's not bad. 12 stacks on this would bring it to,
You
like,
get 24%
17.
extra damage though. 24% extra vile gas damage.
Yeah, well, and also I meant just the health regen, because I think that might be the more, as a soul laner, the health regen is the most important stat, I think.
Well,
Just being able to heal a whole bunch.
your health regen would be at 12. It'd be 18. 18%.
17, 15.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, 18 bonus health per second, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you're waiting for the wave, that's like another 4 or 5 seconds, so that you're getting almost 100 health.
I think that there's a world where Savor the Flavor is the pick in the solo lane. Oh, now, I still think, I don't know enough about main tank to say either way. I've been thinking at it from the solo lane angle, because I'm actually excited to see how this plays in the solo lane.
It'll be interesting to see if, I mean, maybe the talents down the line will show that he's more viable as a solo laner, but currently it looks like he's more tank. He's definitely tank-y. He's definitely tank-y.
We'll get there. Anyway, so Hungry for More.
Hungry for More, this is the same talent it was before, except for now it just gives you 5% movement speed off the bat, and then, again, it just gets better as the time goes on. But it used to be every 15 regen globes that you'd get 5% additional, and now it's 20, because they give you that 5% base. It's not nerfed and it's not buffed, in my opinion. It's just the same. They just...
I think it's definitely buffed.
It's buffed for everything that's not ARAM.
Well, so, yeah, right. Which, to be fair, it's important. But just having 5% additional move speed is useful, you know, for fishing for those hooks, or, you know, trying to get that extra slam on someone, or just finding an engage. I mean, it's not irrelevant. It's the fact that you get... Because it used to take 15 globes to get that bonus before.
Right, just to get the 5.
Like you, for the most part, you use Hungry for More. I mean, the health was nice, but you picked Hungry for More for the movement speed buffs, and you're getting the first piece of the reward right off the bat. So I think it's a decent buff. I mean, you know, I enjoy it. I still don't know if you'll take it, but it's a decent buff.
You'll take it in ARAM. I know you will.
I might end up going
Savor the Flavor for ARAM. Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving to 4, we got Playtime. New functionality. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Slam. And restore 5 mana. Hitting heroes with the inner side of Slam reduces its cooldown by 1 second. So it used to be, by the way, that... Wait, is this a different talent than it used to be?
No, I think they're just changing the functionality. Hang on, I'll pull up Stitches what he has right now.
It used to be that hitting an enemy with Slam would reduce the cooldown... reduce your cooldowns by everything. It didn't used to be a basic attack thing, right?
I think it was just a general cooldown reduction thing. Heroes hit by Slam reduce the cooldown of your other abilities by a half second. Increase to 2 seconds for heroes that are hit by the inner impact.
So now, now Slam reduces its own Slam, and then also it just gives you a basic attacks also reduce Slam.
I think this is a much better version of the old Playtime, because when you went Slam builds, you didn't necessarily care about the other abilities all that much. I guess having a slightly lower E cooldown was nice, but you were focused on Slam, so just having Slam come up faster, I think, is just generally better if you're going a Slam build.
Tenderizer moved from level 4 to level 4. Nice. New functionality, basic attacks against heroes slow by 25% over 2.5 seconds, and restore 2% of Stitch's maximum health. So it didn't used to slow, and now it does. Is that right?
Wait, what was it moved from?
It says move
Yeah.
from 4.
Oh, basic attacks slow enemies by 25% for 2.5 seconds and refresh the duration of Slam's inner impact area slow. So now
Oh, so now it
it-
doesn't do that.
it still does the slow, but
But it does
also
cannibalize.
restores some of your health. Yeah, it
So-
also mixes so it's tenderizer and cannibalize mixed together. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
They just bake the two into each other.
So this is where I don't know. I think Tenderizer will beat the pick in most main tank builds because you just want to slow people and you'll just have extra healing. Because I think Tenderizer was oftentimes picked. I think in
Yep.
in
That was the thing
big
because
build?
you could refresh the slow, and then you just have perma slows on somebody, especially if you had movement speed.
But now you also have the health restore.
Yeah.
And thinking about it in the solo lane, just having a health restore talent is always nice, especially in melee matchups in the solo lane, right? You know, you're just auto attacking nonstop, and so if this is going to add up really quick. 2% per auto, it adds up, and having it slow means you can keep proccing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if this will be the pick because I would say look at the other one too, and then maybe that one's also worth looking at.
Vile Cleaver, which is the trait talent, new trait talent. Basic attacks against targets afflicted with Vile Gas deal 35% more damage, and spread Vile Gas to nearby enemies. So this is a way for you to continue to get your Vile Gas to spread after your trait goes down.
And the other thing that's important is in the soul lane before you'd have to use your trait to activate Vile Gas on the whole wave. Or you
Correct.
could W, but you probably wouldn't hit the whole wave. Now you can just auto the middle minion, auto it again, and it spreads Vile Gas to everything. And
So-
it deals more damage, so it's going to kill the wave faster.
So I wonder also, it does say targets. It doesn't say minions or like minions, mercs, or heroes. So it's probably everything. Yeah, and 35% more damage. I mean, you probably one-shot the minion in the back when it's if it has the Vile Gas already on it.
I don't know. Like I said, I got to test all this stuff. That's like Stitches is like one of the first things I'm testing when I get onto the PTR because I'm genuinely excited to see how some of these talents play together as a soul lane and like how they wave clear.
Yeah, the wave clear is going to be interesting. I'm excited to see your reaction to the wave clear that he possibly has. Cannibalize was taken out of level 7 because it was baked into Tenderizer at level 4. Serrated Edge now was moved from 4 to 7. The cooldown reduction, Serrated Edge was your Q now deals damage. Sorry, your hook now deals damage. It deals 5% of the maximum damage, the maximum health of the opponent. Cooldown reduced from 3 to 5, so now you get more cooldown reduction. So instead of it being on a 16-second cooldown, it's on a 11-second cooldown. And hitting enemy heroes with it also restores 35 mana. So essentially, it gives you another hook for mana cost.
Yeah, I don't know if this will be the pick at main tank because you didn't, I think, usually take Serrated Edge before. I could be wrong. I don't know if this is good enough. Having more cooldown reduction is good, but generally, if you hit a target with hook, that target's going to die anyway.
Exactly.
And
You shouldn't need
maybe
the
don't.
percent damage to clear up the target.
And the other thing, the extra cooldown reduction, again, you got to pick with your hook. So do you really need another hook to come back up very soon? I don't know. I
It
mean, I think
depends on whether they're trying to leave or not, and you want to finish kills. But you still, like, 11 seconds, the enemy should get away. If you're not slowing enemies, the enemies will get away, or have already gotten away because you focused the last 2 seconds on the target that you hooked. So I'm not sure if I agree with you. I don't know if the reduction's gonna be good enough.
Here comes the crazy stuff.
And here comes the crazy thing. The second helping E moved from level 20 to a level 7 talent. That's crazy. Devour now gains an additional charge, which it did before, with 6-second cooldown in between uses. Lone. Here's a lone talent. If Stitches is at max health after using Devour, he gains a shield to 15% of his maximum health for 10 seconds. Every death reduces the shield by 3%. So again, 5 deaths, and Stitches gives back that loan. But the
think
the second charge is kind of cool. I mean, that's what you got at 20 anyway, right?
Yeah, I don't know if this talent will. So, like, I've thought about it some in the Soul Link, and I'm like, wow, it can let you stack savor the flavor faster. But I think that might be just kind of a meme. It's probably not all that great for that. Although it does give you a whole bunch of extra sustain in the Soul Lane, having a second E.
So
I don't know,
especially though that like let's say if you are you devour gives you 20% of your health back, just period. So if you have 11 or 14% of your health missing, right, and you hit devour, now you gain that 20% plus an extra 15% shields on top of that, which is a lot of extra.
The other thing, Soul Lane compared to main tank, you're not going to die very likely, at least throughout most of the early and mid game. So you shouldn't lose this bonus until at least mid game.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you really shouldn't be dying that much. And if they're going to gank a Stitches, I mean, I don't know, that's more charges of your Devour, I guess, at level 1. And then Purification, while Shambling Horror is active, Vile Gas reduces healing by 30%. Vile Gas heals you for 60% of the damage dealt. So, if you do end up going the Vile Gas talents, that's pretty good. 60% of the damage dealt is really good, especially if you're in the, again, like, you're in the Immortal, or not Immortal, Shrines.
I personally think that that will be the talent you go in a Soul Lane build. I don't think you'll go second helping. I think it just might be a little bit overkill. You might just want the more healing on the wave, and so you just, because you'll already have a whole bunch of ways to proc it by this point. Because I think the build so far is you go either Patchwork or Saber, and then you go, you likely go Vile Cleaver at 4 to get an easier way to spread Vile Gas, and then with this, you just have Vile Gas on the whole wave, and so, if you have it on a whole wave and also the enemy laner, you have 8 sources healing you through Vile Gas.
Right, 7 from the wave and one from the hero.
I mean, that's a lot, and the old Vile Gas healing back in the day was 33%. So this is like
right. This is 60. It's pretty good. Now imagine that all of the enemy heroes are also in the shrine, right? You now get all the crazy healing from that as well on the heroes. And again, your damage is increased to 150% of damage from minions, mercenaries, and monsters. So that's, I mean, that's kind of wild. I wish that there was a way to refresh the Vile Gas on target, because it doesn't seem like currently there's any way to refresh it other than just hitting them with a slam again.
Auto attacks refresh it.
Where does it say that?
In the actual trait. So the trait is enemies hit by basic attacks or the inner area of slam.
New functionality. Enemies hit by basic attacks or inner... Oh, okay. I forgot that it was by basic attacks. I thought it was just slam or the activatable.
So it's still like you can just auto stuff, yeah.
That's still good. I like that. I like that it's... You just have to... That's why you said you could just double auto attack instead of having to slam the wave.
Right.
Interesting. 10s were not changed at all. But 13, Fishing Hook was removed because he got it baseline. At 13, he just gets Fishing Hook.
Imagine, do you know, like, I don't think people are talking enough about the fact, do you know how big of a buff this is? That he's basically just now getting 2 level 13 talents at level 13. Like, that's mad. How many just take 2 level 13 talents? Stitches basically now is taking 2 level 13 talents every game.
I think that's really dope. I think because Fishing Hook was almost required if you were playing Stitches ever. And so now you get to... You essentially, I mean, you don't have to pick Fishing Hook anymore, right? Since it's baked in. It's just, I think, yeah, like you said, getting the 2 talents is pretty freaking dope.
It's actually crazy.
I wonder if that'll open up the obviously it'll open up the talent tree for 13, but I wonder if that'll like move other talents around, because now you can use a 13 talent to buff a different talent. Like Slam, under pressure, Slam's damage is increased by 25. Every 6 times Vile Gas deals damage to an enemy hero, permanently increase the damage of Slam by 1, up to additional 75. Though I don't think that that's very good. I don't feel like 75 is enough.
So I don't know. It's hard to say. I think if you're in a main tank build, you'll probably go this talent. Because like, what else are you going to take? Because so the other talents that are available, read the other one first, just so.
So level 4, Chop Chop was moved from level 4 to level 13. New functionality: hitting a hero with hook or activating shambling horror grants 50% attack speed for 5 seconds. So that combines really good with the Tenderizer, which gives you your health back, 2% of your health back per auto. But
so the problem is, so this is, I'm talking just main tank, right?
Right. Pure main tank.
Chop Chop is a very selfish talent because it's just yourself that you're benefiting, right? You'll get the attack speed, which allows you to do a little bit more damage, and it gives you all that healing if you were to go Tenderizer.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's not necessarily helping your teammates around you, nor is it helping you quickly kill a target, right? Like, yeah, having a little bit more attack speed is nice, but that's not helping you kill something faster. The other 13 talent is Meat Hook, which is when you hit a hero with hook, you heal for 20% of your max HP over 4 seconds.
And then you can refresh it with auto attacks.
Which I don't necessarily think is all that great. So
I used to pick that talent. That's all I'm gonna say.
But like, for the most part, right? Generally, what you're doing with the fishing hook stitches, right, is you're throwing your hook out and just trying to find a kill. You're fishing for a kill.
Yeah.
And so you don't need Meat Hook when you're doing that, right? And Chop Chop, it's very selfish as a main tank talent. It's not really helping your team in any way. It's just maybe slightly keeping you alive more. Like, maybe it's okay on like an offlane Stitches build, but I don't even know if I'd go this in an offlane Stitches build. But like, under pressure just gives you flat additional damage. Like, it gives you up to 100 damage, and I don't know if this is just a completely flat bonus or if this will scale with
I bet that's flat.
if it's completely flat, it's not a lot, but also just having a little bit more damage in your burst combo isn't bad. Like,
you also
you getting a kill.
Yeah, and in the end of the day, let's say you do end up stacking at max, it's 100 damage. That's pretty sizable on a 4 or 5 second cooldown for your slam.
Another thing too is it says when heroes take damage from Vile Gas, Vile Gas probably ticks multiple times over its duration. So even just putting this on one hero, I don't know, that might be enough for like 1 full extra damage. I don't know if it ticks 6 times over its 3 second duration or what it is.
I think it ticks one time per second over 3 seconds, so 3. So it gives you half a stack on just one auto.
But I think it'll stack fairly quickly, actually. So I don't think this is an irrelevant talent. I just think what it's up against, it might be the pick.
I think if you're in the solo lane, this is definitely the pick because you just need that slam damage to clear the wave.
At this point, so we're at level 13, so wave clear isn't as crazy. Plus, you already have a bunch of wave clear with your Vile Gas talents.
True.
I just think you're just taking it for a little bit more burst on a target that you catch out compared. Maybe as a solo laner you'll go Chop Chop every now and then just because you want to get in there and get in the mix but like I don't think you're going Tenderizer in a solo laner build. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I leave
Again, you will crunch the numbers.
Yeah, I will crunch the numbers and get back to you.
For 16, Lacerate was removed because it was baked into Serrated Edge. It was baked into.
They moved it into another talent.
Yeah, it was baked into a different talent earlier, and then Pulverize moved from 13. The Slam targets have their armor reduced by 10 for 4 seconds. That's not a lot, but it's still more killable. Makes you 10% more killable.
So what they did is they combined lacerate and pulverize because it's a
There you go. There you go.
So pulverize was enemies hit by slam are slowed by 80% for 3/4 of a second, and now it will also reduce their armor by 10 for 4 seconds.
Okay.
So
That's good.
Yeah, it's a
80%
solid
slow is
talent.
pretty freaking dope. And then having the armor, that just allows you for fast kills when you hook. So, Gassed Flare has now been renamed Flare Up. Additional functionality, activating Shambler Horror also grants... Activating Shambling Horror also grants the 150% damage bonus.
Just for context, Gas Flare, it's an additional functionality, so it's on top of what it already did.
Okay.
What it did before was you deal 15 plus the 4% per level damage per second to nearby enemies. Hitting an enemy hero with hook increases this damage by 150% for 8 seconds. So now it will also, when you activate Shambling Horror, also grant that bonus damage.
So are you talking? It's like the AOE that
I know there was a talent Joanna Street that was just like AOE damage. There's one for Rexar. There's one for Anubarak.
Yeah. Whatever flame, something flame, Sacred Flame or whatever it is.
It's always like the reddish talent with like the fire background.
Yes. So now it just they activating Shambling Horror also grants the bonus, and then bonus damage is reduced from 8 to 4 seconds. So it's now like almost like a burst instead of long drawn out whatever.
Because now that it's so much easier to activate it, because hitting hook was a very specific activation case.
Yeah.
Like, it's much harder theoretically to activate it by hitting a hook, but Shambling Horror, you just press 1 on your keyboard and you get it. So they don't want it to be like that easy and still have the same high payoff.
Yeah. Digestive Juices, which we skipped. So it reduced the amount of damage that an opponent had by 30%, right? And then now it also deals an additional 140 damage over 5 seconds. So now it just does a damage over time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I personally would still go Lacerate, but
well, Lacerate's gone. Oh, you mean Pulverize? Pulverize.
Sorry, because they combine it.
I think I would go Pulverize.
But I mean, there's a world for both of them. I don't know. It's again lots of testing. But level 20 is when things get real fucking crazy, so get ready for it.
Level 20s, they got rid of Potent Bile and Shambling Horror. They baked that into his stuff, just basic. Gift from the Embalmer. What a fucking name. Putrid Bile deals 100% more damage to heroes. Each time Putrid Bile damages an enemy hero, Stitch's next death timer is... What? Stitch's next death timer is reduced by 2% to a maximum of 80% reduction. Half of this bonus is lost on death.
Hey, Stitch's is Diablo now.
Stitches can now come back in... So 80%... 60-second death timer is 80%. That would be 12-second death timer. That's a 12-second death timer. You're back in 12 seconds.
He loses half of it, so he can't just like run back in and die again.
No.
But
what?
Yeah, he's like Diablo now, I guess.
Do you have Stitches up?
What do you mean? Do I have Stitches
like,
up?
are you in the heroes right now?
I'm not in the fire right now.
Oh, okay. I wanted to know, what is the timer on Putrid Bile? I think it's 60 seconds.
75 seconds.
75. So 75 seconds. You're out for 12 seconds. That means you get it back in... You get it back in 55. Around 55 seconds after you come back to life. So if you were to die again before you got another Putrid Bile...
It's 20.
It would now be 40% reduction.
So like 36 seconds.
So now you're back in 36 seconds. Still, that's still crazy strong, and it's every time it deals damage. So you only have to deal 40 damage, and it ticks pretty quickly. and you're
Yeah,
running around with movement speed like on top of them. I think that's pretty
So,
good.
yeah, I don't know if this will be the talent you take, to be completely honest with you, because like, man, this it's an amazing effect. But 12 seconds is still, even in late game, right? Still a decent amount of time to be without your tank, because he also has to walk all the way back to lane.
Right.
But also, right, it does a lot more damage though. I don't know, maybe this is the pick.
Does
I
a
don't know,
ton more damage.
Well, what are the other 20s? I don't even remember.
Master
Oh,
Hooker
there we go.
reduces the cooldown of Hook by 5 seconds, so now it's on 11-second cooldown. Enemy heroes Hook hit by Hook receive 100% less healing. 100% less healing. Allied heroes hit by Hook are unkillable for 2 seconds. What? Unkillable?
Yeah, so if you land, because you know how you can throw your hook at friendly targets.
Yeah.
You can throw. Basically, what it means is when you land hook on the target, until the target comes all the way back to Stitches, you can't kill its target.
And then 100% less healing on your target's dead.
Wait, so here's the thing. It's not as impactful as you think. It'll only be about a second because you have to account for the time that it takes Hook to come back to Stitches after it lands.
Right,
So
and especially if when you have the elongated hook, right? So like you're hooking at
Right.
max range, it's a full
So-
second to get back to you.
It takes about a half second to a second to come back to you. So it's not as crazy as it looks on paper, but still though, that is about like, especially for a target that you're trying to kill, it's about a second to a second and a half where they can't heal that target.
That is wild.
That guy's probably gonna die.
I think the only thing that would really save that guy is probably Anduin.
Or being Zul'jin.
Well, 100% less healing means you don't get healed, period, right?
Well, so I'm saying you would activate Taz Dingo. And
Oh,
then-
yeah, a Dingo, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what you could do, though, as Stitches, if you had a Dingo on your team, you
Oh
Dingo,
my God.
and then you hook the Dingo target, and they're still unkillable for 2 seconds.
The ultimate Taz Dingo.
Oh my god, he's got Dingo for like 7 or 8 seconds at level 20. And then the trait Gas Bag, activating Shambling Hero grants you unstoppable for 3 seconds, and reducing Shambler Horror's cooldown by 20. Again, we still don't know what the cooldown is of Shambling Horror. My guess is 50 seconds.
So the old Shambling Horror, because it used to be a level 20 talent, the old Shambling Horror was 60 seconds. I don't think it will be that long. It could be, but if it's still that long, now it goes down to 40 seconds. So
But let's say if it's 30 seconds, right? Let's just say it's 30 seconds. It's probably what you are saying. It's probably going down to 40 seconds here. But
I'd say it's most likely between 40 to 60 seconds.
if it goes down to 60, if it's 60 seconds and goes down to 40, I don't know. Is that enough? Is that enough of what you need?
I don't think you take this talent.
Unstoppable for 3 seconds is pretty good, but I think that you still don't need it.
I think you're probably going Gift from the Embalmer Master Hooker.
If you're not going Gorge.
If you're not Gorge.
Yeah.
Well, even if you're going Gorge, you might still go Master Hooker.
And then developer context. Our favorite large lad is back, hungrier than ever. We're giving our best beefy boy, I love how they spell boy, a new baseline ability called Shambling Horror, which should help him saunter in and out of combat more consistently. This ability, combined with a plethora of new reworked talents, should make him an immediate presence more dangerous. We've also decided to give him the benefit of the old fishing hook talent at 13. This talent was simply too fun and too effective, to the point where it became impossible to design reasonable alternatives. We hope the totality of these changes will breathe new unlife into the hero that has fallen out of favor over the years. So, yeah, they're trying to bring back the Stitches, and you think he's an offlane buddy now.
I mean, I'm not saying he can't tank. I think he'll be viable in the tank. So something that, because Ide and I bounced some ideas off of each other. I was talking about that he has a lot of wave clear in a lot of these new talents he has, as well as, he's going to be hard to kill just in general because he has good scaling throughout his talents also. So I think what the strength of Stitches might be is his flexibility. like, let's assume Stitches is good after this update.
Yeah.
You can pick Stitches early in a draft and flex it between tank and offlane, and that's really good flexibility to have if like he's just a generally good character to be able to play him in any role. And now your opponents, they don't know where it's going, and so they don't necessarily know what to target ban later on down the line or how to draft against it, because it could go in either direction.
I mean, that was the thing that we saw with ETC back like a year ago, where ETC finally became like there was like a solo lane ETC, especially with this
or in this patch with Uther, you could flex Uther like everywhere. He could be your main healer, he could be your tank, he could take the place of a damage dealer in very specific circumstances. He could go solo lane. Like, Uther went everywhere. Now Stitches isn't going to be that crazy. You're not going to play main damage Stitches, but like, he's going to be, I think he'll be a flexible pick. Like, I think he'll be solid in the tank. I don't think he'll be a top tier tank most likely, but I think he'll be solid. And I don't think he'll be a top tier solo laner, but I think he'll be very workable.
I think it'll be fun to see where where people put him in. And then we got a bunch of base changes, so we'll just go over those real fast. Mei is just getting nerfed, just general nerfs across the board.
Very small. I think she'll still be a really good pick. I don't know if she'll be quite as pick ban as she was before, but I still think she's going to be really strong.
Yeah, I think that she's going to keep her top tier. But she's just getting very minute changes. D.Va's getting a bunch of a bunch of changes as well. Looks like they nerfed her health and her damage. Fusion cannons also nerfed that as well. Yep, just let's see. Liquid cooling, healing fountain's duration bonus is increased from 25 to 35. So that's an interesting talent. I actually really like that talent in general, just because the sustain that it gives you, because instead of having a 2-minute fountain, it gives you a 50-second fountain. So that'll be cool. I don't know if you, as you play a solo laner, what do you pick at one?
Generally, you went full metal before.
Full metal, yeah.
It gave you a lot of sustain throughout the lane. I think liquid cooling is a bit underrated. You would probably end up going that now on D.Va over full metal, in my opinion. I think I think D.Va's in a really bad spot after these nerfs, because D.Va already struggled to lane into a lot of the matchups. Like, D.Va was really bad pre-10 lane, like really bad in most matchups. And she's even worse now because the bonus damage to close enemies is significantly lower. Like, that's a 20% damage reduction on that. She has less health regen baseline. If she goes the full metal version, it's worse. And liquid cooling is good, right? But you chew through mech health really quick in the soul lane. So, like, it's still a bit of a balancing act. But I think the real kicker in this is Rushdown being nerfed. D.Va, generally, D.Va was really bad 1v1.
Yeah.
I think on this patch, especially into like Sonya's and stuff like that. But you kind of picked her knowing you were going to lose your lane for the most part, but knowing that later on you'd be a big impact in team fights. And a lot of what you would do is, especially on
you boop the minions and then you'd walk back to your lane, right?
Well, that too, but also you would double soak a lot.
Yeah.
And so if you're not interacting with the enemy laner because you're double soaking, you don't have to worry as much about you being a poor laner.
Yeah.
But having this this only 50% bonus damage, that's not a lot. It's going to be a lot harder for her to double soak, especially now that plus the bonus damage reduction. It's going to be a lot harder for her to double soak. And I think that's going to be a real killer for D.Va, is that ability to clear waves as quickly as she I think she's now going to have to brawl more than she had to in order to clear the waves, and that's a big problem for D.Va because she just can't brawl right now. Her bonus damage is lower again, which is bad. She has lower health regen, and already she was bad at it to begin with. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be really rough for her.
Do you think that they're trying to move her out of the double soak realm? They don't want her to specifically be a double soaker?
Here's the thing, right? She's bad in lane, and now she's bad at double soaking. So you pick her just for her big bomb in a team fight? Like, yeah, that's nice. But when you have to give up the rest of the game, when you have to give up your entire early game just so you could have a diva who can do that once every 2 team fights.
Right.
Is that really worth it anymore? Before, she could kind of manage because she could kind of just cheese the wave with her Q at 4 and also healing off because a lot of times you would just stand back and let your laner push the wave, and then you would heal a lot of the damage you've taken off the wave with full metal as it comes into you, and then finish it off with your Q as necessary. But like, she's going to struggle to do that even more. Plus the fusion, and the other thing too, I'm assuming you'll just go liquid.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a lot of. I just think that she's now at the point where she's just really going to struggle in laning in the solo lane.
Do you think they're forcing you to pick the fusion generator at 7?
No, the problem is that's against so many other good talents. Like, I don't even think you'll take it because the other talents, like, that's the talent where the increased move speed on boosters and it stuns enemies are. That's also where the increased booster cooldowns when not in combat is. So, like, a lot of times, I think on double soak maps, a lot of times you would go the cooldown one just to get from lane to lane faster. And then the boop talent, the stun on boop, was just so useful in so many. Like, that was a massive team fight tool. So I still don't think you'll go fusion generator. Like, it's a nice buff, but it's competing against such good talents that I still don't think you'll take it. And I don't know. It's just really hard to say. I mean, there's some nice W talent buffs, and I don't mind that because I wouldn't mind seeing a playstyle where it's like a W build playstyle, like a supporting diva playstyle. I think that would be interesting, where you go like full W build and you're just like trying to be like an anti-diver or like a damage mitigating tool from the solo lane.
Yeah.
But man, she's gonna struggle so hard to get through laning phase now that I just don't know if you can take her reliably.
Yeah, they didn't really buff any of her talents except for 7.
Like, the funny thing is, I think the matchups where she'll be best are into stuff like Stitches or ETC or stuff like that, where she's not under threat, and so she can not be worried about dying, and she keeps her same strength of she brings a huge team fight tool to team fights.
Yeah.
But if you're against something like a Sonya, an Artanis, a Hogger, I'm just naming some, like a Leoric Malthael, she's just gonna get dumpstered, and it sucks, because, I mean, I kind of like it, because I do think Diva was a little bit overbearing, but it sucks that she's basically going to come out of the meta, unless there's very specific circumstances, in my opinion.
It's sad, the only thing I thought they needed to nerf about her was her micro missiles and the damage that it caused. The damage of the slow, all they had to do was nerf that just a little bit, and I feel like she would have been fine on my hands. But that's, I mean, again, I don't play solo lane as much as you do, so.
I think a tiny amount of micro missile damage, as well as possibly lowering her health pool, maybe would help a little bit, or her baseline health regeneration. Maybe, like, I think if you left the fusion cannons exactly the way they were, but maybe nerf full metal sub, like, that would be decent too, just to lower her healing even more. But I just think Rushdown is the big killer for her. But
I mean, it's crazy. Like, Full Metal, they nerfed the healing on Full Metal, and they nerfed the damage that it puts out. It's like, it's just interesting choices for them. And they're saying that they hope that she's more attractive, but I don't think so. Let's see. Hogger got nerf, buff, damage. Hog Wild's damage has been buffed.
You'll see why.
Oh, because they reduced the rage from 1% to 0.5%, so they literally halved the rage. And now rage only applies to heroic targets, so now he can't camp as reliably.
So this change makes this E better when you don't have rage, and it's the same when you have full rage. So it's generally always better in team fights than it was before your Hog Wild. However, it's way, way, way worse at camping.
Yeah, he's not gonna be able to camp like as fast, because he was pretty fast, but now he's not a camper anymore, I guess.
I mean, he'll still probably be able to camp, but it'll just probably be a lot slower than it was before.
I mean, it'll be a lot slower because of the decrease, right? But I guess they increase the damage baseline, so I don't know. Again, that's another thing that's like you'll have to test in the PTR.
So I have a pretty general idea of it. So max rage damage was 64 with the old one. So you would be doing 60. So you're doing 20 less damage per tick, which is noticeable. And that's probably the difference between you just outright killing a camp or you leaving a camp with like, 15% HP, and now you have to finish it off with your Q and a couple auto attacks.
Right.
Which is, a little bit of extra time now. And maybe Hogger takes a little bit of extra damage during the camp, or, if you really want to get a camp out quickly, maybe... I still think he'll be able to do camps by himself. It'll just take longer. Especially, like, Bruiser camp, I think he'll struggle to do a lot faster.
They decreased on the Prowl healing. Brute Force, they increased the range of Loot Horde. And the damage that it deals. I didn't know it dealt damage.
Yeah, if you land Loot Horde on someone, it does a small amount of damage. It's very little.
Okay. And then additional functionality, increase Loot Horde's damage by 50%. So just interesting. That's just strange to me.
Nobody wants these talents.
Okay. No, nobody went these talents. Aggro range radius bonus decreased from 25 to 20. Was that the radius of Hog Wild?
Yeah. So now, the radius was decreased baseline, and now it's decreased even further if you go aggro range.
So I see that. Yeah.
It's even harder to hit your E on targets than it was before. So it does more damage baseline than it used to before, but it's much harder to hit it. Not crazy harder, but a little bit harder.
Yeah. Pummel, spell power reduced also from 3 to 2 seconds. So now when you finish your Hog Wild, you only have 2 seconds of spell power. So you better get your thing done by then. And then no control, now increased decay rate by 50%. So now if you're not bouncing between targets, you get out of the form even faster.
It's actually really important. So as someone who has played a lot of no control, a squishy target, you could press no control on them if they were standing by themselves.
And still kill them. Yeah.
Now you won't be able to do that, and that's actually a really good nerf, because I thought that was stupid, that you could just press 1 on your keyboard and cancel it if they're out on their own.
Yep. Your favorite Bay, Sonya,
No.
getting some nerfs.
Get her out of here.
Huh? What was that?
Get her out of here.
Yeah, you done with the Sonya play?
Yeah.
You don't need to warm up on that hero anymore.
I mean, I think they're good nerfs. I think the W116 is the really big nerf. The level 4 is good too. Now you can so her wave clear is worse if she's Wing minions, but if she's Wing heroes, it doesn't go very far back. So the big thing to note about this change is her wave clear is worse if she's hitting minions because it does less damage than it did before.
You're right.
But if she's Wing heroes, in team fights, what used to happen is you just W the tank a whole bunch.
And then you hit the backline with every single thing you have. Yeah.
Right. But now when you're Wing, you don't get the bonus range. So you're not going to be hitting backline very reliably.
Right. It'll be... Oh, Scoops just did some... Scoops just did some science on Joe's new level 20. It heals and gets CDR from everything, except for Volskaya turret and the heal beacon.
That's what he was testing. I love you, Scoops.
Well, we were talking about it and like whether you get CDR on allied minions, because now you can just do it in a minion wave if like the enemy's in a minion wave, and so that's fucking dope. So what is the total? Can you get it back instantly, Scoops? If you hit enough targets? Let me know. The Vikings are getting changed. They're all getting a health nerf. So you can get it back instantly. Wow, Joe's 20 gets it back instantly. Fuck. The Vikings have just been strong, and they're nerfing them. Let's see. Yeah, they're just generally nerfing everything, except for Norse Force.
Wait, so they're buffing all the talents are being buffed, basically. The reason why is all of these talents that are being buffed are talents that you weren't taking on on the Vikings. These are all of the if you keep the Vikings together talents, which you almost never do on Vikings if you're playing them optimally because you want them soaking all the lanes. So this is, from what I heard, someone basically called it a if you're bad at Vikings, these are all really good because it's a good like Bronze Storm League Vikings buff.
Gotcha.
Because generally they just move them all together rather than being able to micro them all between the lanes.
Mhm.
And so these are all buffs to the talents that they will likely use because they just keep all the Vikings together. But if you're playing the Vikings correctly, right, this is all nerfs because you don't take any of these talents and there's nerfs in all the base stats. So
Yeah, especially the longboat raid. I still don't know why you pick that generally, but you know, people do. Yeah, and again, I don't think any of these talents are things that people pick like you said. You normally pick jump and bribe and a couple other talents that are not changed here at all, so it's kind of crazy. Lucio's getting some buffs and some nerfs.
Unfortunately.
Party mix getting some buffs. Every minute played increases Lucio's mana by 2%. After 8 minutes of total play time, increase the range by 20, which it did already. But getting the maximum mana will be very fun in ARAM. That'll be fucking a blast. You're never gonna have mana problems ever. Boombox. This is what I'm so excited about. Cast range increased by 100%, which is okay, sure. Now I can put it in a bush from another bush. Health increased by to 600 from 350, which is almost double the health increase. But now enemies affected by Boombox gain 5 armor. I put it in the solo lane. You now have 5 armor.
I don't think that's a big.
I'm putting it into solo lane. You have 5 armor.
This is going to be really disappointing, Luigi. The best part about this talent is the 100% increased cast range because now you can check bushes more safely.
A whole 5 armor. No, look, this is a good talent. Okay, Boombox is a great talent. Nobody else but me thinks that Boombox is a good talent. And Boombox just got better in every way. Literally every way.
I'm so sorry, Luigi. The best part of this talent change is the additional cast range. I'm sorry.
I said the cast range is good. The health on it's good. And now it doesn't take 1 Vala auto attack to kill. And it gives you 5 armor. It's 5 armor. They'll give you 10 next patch. Guaranteed. Guaranteed they'll give it 10 next patch. High five, they nerfed the self heal, the heal that Lucio actually gets from it from 125 to 80. So now he can't just. I think that's pretty big because if you high five everybody on your team and now you're receiving 40 less healing per person.
Again, it's not necessarily what's needed. The healing wasn't the problem with high five. The problem was just the fact that it's a cleanse. It's on a crazy low cooldown per target.
I agree.
Which this doesn't actually solve any of that.
The level 20 does solve a little bit, which the cost of the cooldown is now reduced from 50 to 30. So instead of being on a 15-second cooldown, it's now on a 21-second cooldown.
I mean, it's a huge problem, especially in in these competitive settings where your engages are based around your ultimates and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to try and synchronize everything so it all goes off at once. And you pick a target and you have to use your 60-second cooldown ultimates to find a target. And Lucio cleanses it instantly as soon as you start to go in on it. And his cooldown is on, and his cleanse is on half the cooldown of your ultimates.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. So I think maybe a duration or a higher penalty or a higher cooldown on per target on high five might be what was needed to bring him back in line, but I don't know.
You want like a 45-second cooldown?
Maybe 40 to 45 seconds would be better. I don't know. It's hard to say just because it just feels like he can do it way too often and way too reliably.
Well, 30 seconds, I mean, your team fights at 10 could be 30 seconds long. You might have it at the beginning and at the end of the team fight, so... and then again at 20, you're definitely getting it more than 2 or 3 times per team fight if somebody hasn't just blown up immediately. And then people pick up to 11, which now has an increased functionality that while Amp It Up is active, enemies hit with Sound Wave or Push Off increase the duration by 0.3, which I think a lot of people actually do pick this talent. And I think that just the people that pick it are going to be more happy, but I still go Rejuvenesca. It doesn't matter what team I have. So that's just me.
I don't think this was the meta, but I think this is a good change.
Uther's getting talent changes, I think, right? Devotion. Uther's basic abilities grant 25 armor to allied heroes and 15 to Uther. So Uther no longer gets 25 armor when healing somebody else up, which is kind of sad. But
It's necessary though.
yeah, but I'm sad about it. Beacon of Light self-healing bonus increased from 100 to 125, and self-healing bonus at low health is now 200 to 250, which I only pick that in ARAM. Again, that's a literal ARAM talent. And Tears Deliverance has max stacks has been moved from 4 to 7, so now you can actually get a ton of value from your Wave of Light. But again, you don't pick either of those because you pick the double stun at 16. Divine Protection, Devotion for both you and your allies are now set to 50. So essentially giving you the old Devotion talent.
I think this is a deep change. I don't know if it's. I would assume it's enough because man, there's been so many times we get Uther to like 1 HP and you just can't kill him, and it's like fuck you, Uther. But
he will definitely be 10% more killable now.
And I think that's a good change. I don't know if. I still think he might be good just because he still retains that flexibility, but I don't know if he'll be top tier anymore.
My problem is that if I am going tank Uther and I go the Holy Shock build, now instead of having 25 armor, I only got 15. So it's like the same thing they did with ETC. After they nerfed ETC's armor, I could no longer play ETC. I was not good enough. And maybe that means that I wasn't playing him correctly to begin with. That probably is what that means. But, hey, look, I'm not good at the game, okay? I realize that. I know that.
Asmodan! Whoa, look, what's this?
Asmodan. Glove of Annihilation is scaling from 2.5 to 4, so now they've made it so now when you hit 20, you just instantly kill everybody. Big ARAM buffs. Greed, a non-heroic damage is increased from 20 to 15, which I don't pick. Gluttony is the one that I do pick. Annihilation earned from heroes hit goes from 3 to 4. So great, they buffed my build. Master of a Destruction, Annihilation earned from heroes hit goes from 4 to 2. That is, if you hit a globe on 2 people, it reduces the cooldown and gives you more Annihilation stacks. Demonic Invasion.
No.
Wait, what? What?
It's an E talent.
Oh, it's when you E somebody, and if it goes the entire duration, you get cooldown based on the amount of enemies hit near the hero, right?
Is that the one that's AoE? Hang on one sec. I gotta look it up now because I don't remember. It is. If All Shall Burn channel kills or lasts its full duration, All Shall Burn final damage applies to all enemies in an area around the target. And
yep.
It's 4 annihilation per hero hit.
Okay, so now it's reduced to 2. So now you don't get as much stuff. But I don't pick that talent anyway. I pick Bombardment. But again, these are normal talents that people pick. Remember, I don't know how to play the game correctly. So, I pick all of the wrong talents on all the wrong heroes.
Oh, I forgot I have to ping Sonic to look at these changes. He's going to be so mad.
Demonic Invasion, Demonic Grunts have been, their attack reduced by 3, which is actually a significant amount because 12 get summoned at a time. So 36 damage per second is just lost, period. And the range has been decreased, so now you can't cast it over the wall.
Still can cast it over the wall, but you literally have to like wedge yourself into the wall to do it, basically.
So what Asmodans would do in low rank, is they would go next to the top wall. They get attacked by the top, what's it called?
They were doing it in high rank too.
Oh, well, they do it in high rank, sure.
Sonic was doing it.
But so they go to the top wall, and they get hit by the tower, but they only get hit by the top tower, and they summon the minions on the far side of the fort, or the keep, or whatever it may be, and then they leave. So now you can't do it on the far side of the keep. So now the tower will also knock some of those minions down. I guess. Hell Rift, Demonic Warrior damage, a bonus reduced from 100 to 75%. And then Siege Breaker, the damage bonus is reduced from 50 to 40. But Pride, the Q talent, is reduced, or damage is increased from 100 to 125. So now you're dunking so much damage at level 20. You are gonna big dunk, man. Now if you go dunk build and you finish it at 20, you might as well just you could like one-shot a Li Ming at this point. Because you used to do at least 70% of Li Ming's health. You could probably one-shot Abathur.
Oh, you could definitely one-shot Abathur. I mean, we'd have to test with Li Ming. She might have to go Glass Cannon for you to one-shot her.
I mean, yeah. Falstad, the lightning chicken as we know it, is gonna continue being lightning chicken. Not gonna lie, it's not gonna change.
I think change it.
Lightning Rod verifies its target in range more frequently from every second to every 0.25 seconds, so now it's easier for you to get out of range of said lightning chicken. Hammering damage, they changed the hammering damage from 0.2 to 0.4, so now in ARAM, you might go hammering. Ooh. And then the W talent, the cooldown reduction has been changed from 3 to 2 seconds. Lightning Rod damage per stack is now 0.75, but still remains at 75 max, so it's now 100 stacks instead of 75 stacks. And then change functionality, takedowns, resetting Lightning Rod's cooldown now gained on quest completion. So you don't get that reset until you're at 75 stacks. Which now makes teamfights it makes teamfights a little bit more manageable on the enemy, not on the not Falstad team. Because Falstad was just so oppressive. He'd get one kill, reset, one kill, reset.
In the average game, you're never getting this because you very rarely stack that 100 times.
Especially now that you frequently are gonna break the range.
Exactly. So, like, and that was one of the best parts about his old kit was you would just go from target to target, Wing them and slowly killing them, and then once they died, then you would just use W again. Now you can't do that. So,
yep. And they changed him at 13 as well, where he doesn't do as much damage anymore. So,
yeah, I think Lightning Chicken might actually be dead. You go the old-fashioned like auto attack style build.
I think auto attack's really really good right now because he has the largest giant killer in the game and the earliest giant killer too.
That's where I think he's going to be. Plus, of course, he always brings a global and a huge team fight presence. So I think he'll still be good. I just don't think W build will be the de facto build.
I really hope we stop with the W build. That'll be really nice. I just don't want to be lightning chicken to the ground anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
As we call it.
What was that?
The build of skill, as we call it.
Yes, exactly. So much skill involved. Junkrat, frag launcher is getting his Q is getting a buff. Actually, it's a really large buff, of 6 points. Which is, I mean, it's like a 5% increase, I think. Extra wound timers, the last Q, gets a 120% bonus instead of 80. Level 7, Steel Trap only hits heroes. Which is really nice. You throw it in the wave. And they have to angle around the wave. I like that a lot. However, I'll still never pick that talent because it's one with Sticky Wicket. Which I really like. And Rocket Ride is getting more damage. Great. Fantastic. More damage on buildings, right? More damage on buildings. Tassadar, Shockwave. Shockray is now going to be faster.
They confirmed this, and they confirmed, I think, down below. So the actual wind-up timer is the same as what it used to be before, like the little wind-up animation before it comes out, but the actual laser will travel faster. So that sort of muscle memory you have as a Tassadar, where you know exactly how long till your Q comes out, that'll still remain the same. It'll just be how fast it travels.
So what they're saying is that it's going to be harder for you to dodge it.
So you'll still see the wind up and be able to dodge it, but once it's out, it travels much faster.
Right.
Well, it's not a huge difference, but it travels faster, which I think is actually a solid buff because, you know, you don't want to be rooted for as long as you can help it. So
Nope, I think that's a pretty big buff.
and I think it's really good because as I play a lot of Tassadar, and I go the Q build, so I think that I like all of these changes that are coming up.
Yeah.
I think that keeping that muscle memory wind up duration was a really good thing that they did because you get it so ingrained into you after you play it how many times of exactly how long until your Q comes out from your characters. You can so especially for point blank Qs, you can aim it correctly so you hit the target in the point blank setting. So I'm really glad they kept that the same.
It looks like that they also added movement speed. They changed them. They wait, what? They just gave him movement speed induction at 4. Tassadar gains 10% movement speed. Casting Shockwave increases this bonus to 30%. But he just gains 10 movement speed? They gave him pure movement speed?
I still don't think you'll go this talent though.
Well, no, you go the shields, right? You go shields talent to 4. But that's 10% movement speed is a significant amount of movement speed.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a meme build though that I'm gonna try, which is you take this talent planning to go Infinite Archon at 20, and then because you have 10% movement speed, you're just like fucking crazy when you're in Archon mode. But that's probably just a meme. You're still probably not taking this.
Yeah, you're probably want the shields on your Archon, to be honest with you.
Maybe in a world where the enemy team has no dive threat on you, but generally you're like, especially because you root yourself when you cast some of your abilities, you generally just want shields, I think.
And then beam alignment mana cost increased. Mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20 or 10 to 15. So now it requires less mana for you to cast your beam. Additional, while resonance beam is charged, Shockway's slow duration is increased to 4 seconds instead of 2.
This is the talent that I take on Q. I know it wasn't the most popular, but this is what a lot of times I think they took the lightning on 7, where it's like when your Q lands, it automatically casts Psionic Storm.
Oh, this is the one that I would. This is the one that I took at when I played Tassadar.
I think this is a good change. I mean, it's not a big change, but I think it's nice. And
But see, from 4 seconds, right? Doesn't that also reduce the cooldown as well, right? That beam alignment.
No. This just increases the duration of the slow from your Q.
Okay, what is that talent that reduces the cooldown of your Q when you're at max stacks?
This is it, yeah.
This is it.
So this also
now this slows the entire time because once you throw out a Q, you get another Q back in 4 seconds if your resonance beam is fully charged. So you can just slow indefinitely.
I guess. I mean, technically,
if you hit it.
I don't think that's a huge deal because generally you're not like just chasing people.
Not as Tassadar. Not as Tassadar.
So, I don't think I just think it's a nice quality of life thing where it's like, hey, you could slow people for your team. You could set up a little bit more for your team without needing your wall constantly.
But Shane, you pick induction at 4, you gain movement speed. Now you are chasing him down.
Let's wrap this up so we can get to the worst part of the patch.
All right. 13 Shadow Walk. Armor is increased from 25 to 35. This makes me angry. This should not be a thing. But whatever. They're making it a thing.
Worst part.
Are we talking about the worst part? Bug fixes. Added Warhead Junction. The rank play and remove Volskaya. There you go.
There it is. That's what the people were clamoring for, right?
Yep. People wanted to play. Well, the thing is they put so much stock into changing that Warhead Junction map so it was something that you would play. And now they've taken out Volskaya, which is like the staple of maps right now. Like the staple of teamfight maps.
So the argument I think that's going to come from them is, well, pros don't like Volskaya. Pros don't like Volskaya, which I do agree. I see some of the points as to why people don't like Volskaya at a high level. But here's the thing: at like mid and lower levels, people love Volskaya. Like people love what I love about Volskaya is the fact that it basically forces people to come together and team fight. And that's a lot of fun, especially at lower levels where all you want to do is team fight. Having a big objective with a big area that says fight here is really cool. And people like that.
I also really enjoyed that in Volskaya, the meta of where you bring the Protector is so versatile. You can go top lane, you can go bottom lane. I know the pros go bottom lane with the first Protector, but like it's pretty variable about where you go, especially where I live in fucking gold silver now, and nobody knows where that thing goes.
Like you look at, like, for example, you know, we're in Division B as a team, right? Volskaya is one of the more popular maps in our division, and generally the lower you go division-wise, the more popular Volskaya gets. Like Volskaya tends to match like Infernal Shrines in popularity levels at a lot of ranks.
Isn't Volskaya and Towers of Doom your guys' most played map?
Volskaya probably is our most played. I don't know about Towers, but Volskaya is very likely our most played. But people really like Volskaya. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm like a crazy big fan of Volskaya, but I enjoy it. Just, you know, hey, every so often, everyone come together and let's team fight. There are some macro things you can do on that. Now, if I agree that the Protector kind of sucks as an objective, and that, you know, there isn't a ton of crazy macro decisions to be made on that map, and so I understand why the pros don't necessarily care for it. But you know what? As a casual player, Volskaya is good fun. You just go ahead and fucking 5v5, ARAM it up, fight it.
And now you have Warhead Junction, where there are 5 places to teamfight around the map at any certain time.
And that's the problem with Warhead, is that it's going to feel a lot more like the game that I came from, League of Legends, in that you're constantly just skirmishing all the time. And, I mean, I think so. I heard someone make a point that it's like, Volskaya is basically going to be, you just pick characters that are good in 1v1s, or globals, and that's it. Like,
I think that you in particular will have a good time because of the changes that they made to it. But I mean, obviously, you're not happy about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that of all of the maps to remove, I saw a comment that someone made on Reddit or something like that, where they're like, the map that should be removed is Braxis. And you know what? I don't hate that. Like, I know our team likes Braxis just because it synergizes with how we play, but like Braxis as a map is very straightforward and kind of boring when you think about it. So like, I would totally understand if they got rid of Braxis. Or like, I mean, personally, I hate Garden, but I know other people like Garden.
Right.
But like, isn't Sky Temple still in the ranked rotation? Like,
Yep.
Why? Why would they not remove Sky Temple and put in Warhead?
I don't know.
Especially because Sky Temple and Warhead are kind of the same in terms of like what the maps are, right? They're all about skirmishing and macro. And so it would make sense to remove a map that does that and replace it with another map that does that, rather than remove a map that's all about team fighting and put in a skirmishing macro map. I don't know. But hey, I don't work for Blizzard, so.
I don't work for Blizzard either. Now, we're done with the PT. We're done with the patch. Do you want to play some ARAM?
I loaded up the PTR.
Okay.
If you want to
I will go into the PTR with you. Hold up. I think I have to install it though.
It didn't take too long for me to install, I don't think.
Let's see. Where is said PTR? I thought I had it on my background. I don't. How do I install a PTR?
So go